recap what has happened. Um, your boy Mercury woke up today at somewhere around like 9-ish a.m. In my time. And as soon as I wake up, didn't even make my cup of coffee yet, nothing, still wiping off, the crust out of my eyes. I log into Twitter and I see 3 minutes ago, Cointelegraph tweeted, Spot ETF has been approved. iShares BlackRock Spot ETF has been approved. The first thought, because actually, not to call anybody out, but the person who reposted that to put that onto my feed, because I don't follow Cointelegraph, was Cantor and Clark, which he has a different name now, whatever. But he reposted that, and I'm like looking at it. I'm like 3 minutes ago. I go and check the chart. We're trading somewhere around 28K. I'm like, okay, wait, this is weird. Like we were already pre-pumping into this, so I'm just kind of thinking at first, all right, maybe there were some insiders. They had that insider kind of flow, whatever. And then 3 minutes later, it's like, okay, so this news has come out. When I see that news, my first thought is, okay, let me go check my notifications, right? After I go check my chart, whatever, I go check my Twitter notifications. I follow Tree of Alpha, I follow DB, I follow Zoomer, Zoomerfied. Those are all three reputable sources in the crypto kind of industry who are like part of CT, who consistently provide accurate, reliable kind of information. So I'm like, okay, let me go check everywhere else. And oh, wait, nowhere else is reporting it. No one else is retweeting. I don't see anything about it on my feed. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, but numbers going up. So what am I going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs for? I'm going to go watch price action. This is fucking cool, right? Like this is in the middle of a face melting kind of candlestick. Again, I'm not able to come in and trade it. Not that I even would have, because again, and we're going to get into this later, I'm fully at peace with the market. So it's not like I haven't known any time in the past, whatever year really, that a spot ETF may get approved one day and I wake up and we're up 20% higher than wherever we traded last night, right? When I was falling asleep. It's not like I wasn't aware of that. So again, fully at peace with the market. That allowed me to not take any sort of impulsive decisions based on a news event or FOMO or emotion, right? Or anything like that, greed, whatever it may be. That is going to be an important topic of today's stream. We are going to get into that a little bit further. So, still wiping the crust out of my eyes, and I'm like, all right. And at this point, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm sitting on the toilet, right? I just woke up. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm just looking at, TradingView Mobile and scrolling through like my Twitter feed every now and then going back to the TradingView Mobile and then going back to the Twitter feed. And I'm just sitting on the toilet. Yeah, I just woke up 5 minutes ago. Like, what am I going to do? Come in and trade and print a shit ton of money? I know my place right now, right? Not prepared. And again, even if I was, not that I would actually have come in and tried to trade that kind of a move. So scrolling back and forth and in my head, I'm kind of like, okay, it is very odd that there's only one news source reporting on this. But whatever. Maybe it's, maybe everyone else is just slow to catch on, whatever it may be. I end up putting out a tweet, something like, volatility is back and a spot ETF is proved and the world is as it should be. And somebody replies to that and says, is it though? Is it approved? Because if you go check the SEC website, there's nothing there. JD, can you mute your mic for me, please? You go and check the SEC website, and there's nothing there. It mentions absolutely nothing about a spot ETF. I'm like, okay, that is very, very weird. So then, at this point, 10 minutes have gone by. And 10 minutes in crypto for a news event to that degree is fucking massive. There's no reason that 10 minutes go by and there's only one news source reporting on an event that big. If it were really the case, you'd have 15 different news sources all reporting the same thing within a 2-minute interval, right? So it starts to get more and more sketchy. It's like, okay, this is starting to become less and less believable. And eventually people kind of also caught on as well. And those fears, those kind of hints start to become reality. where this is kind of just fake. This is just an intern that has gone, totally off the wire. I don't know what the analogy is or what the saying is. He's just gone off the wall, right? He's just decided, jail may not be that bad. Let's have some fun. Honestly, that dude's going to prison. I feel sorry for him. I don't know how much money he made on derivatives, but he's definitely going to prison. It's just a matter of when. And of course, when they prosecute him. But I don't know. It's very odd. The last time that I can remember something similar to this was when a Litecoin intern tweeted out on Litecoin. I don't know if you guys have been trading crypto long enough to remember this. Someone on the Litecoin Twitter account tweeted out that Litecoin had partnered with Walmart. And so it was very weird because it's like, what an obscure partnership, but okay. I believe Litecoin pumped like 40% within an hour, and maybe less than that, actually. And of course, that news was also fake. And it was just an intern that had kind of like lost it and decided, jail may not be that bad. And of course, it fully retraced because the news is fake. What was there to get all excited about? Same thing today. So obviously, this is much bigger. Even though, Litecoin was a 40% move, this was a 10, 15%, whatever it may be. What actually is this? Yeah, 10% move. There's more money going into this 10% move than what went into the 40% Litecoin candlestick, right? That's just kind of how market caps work. The thing that I want to touch on first is I hope that you're okay. I know there's at least one person who got burned pretty badly on this move. I really do hope that you're okay. First and foremost, you need to not put yourself in a position to get absolutely wiped out on a move like this. Now, if you are affected, this might come off as like, okay, Mercury, that's not why I joined. I'm already kind of trying to cope with my mistakes and whatnot, and recoup my losses and whatnot. And you're kind of just like adding salt to the wound for me. To that, I'm very sorry, but it is something that needs to be said, and it's something that you need to hear if that is something that you're falling into. You can't allow yourself to be caught off guard by volatility, period. I don't know how many times we have said, guys, this is a 2% move. Guys, this is a 3% move. Guys, I know that I'm bearish biased and that this is a, pullback and we're breaking down back inside of the range, but promise me, or I promise you, if I go check my Twitter timeline right now, I would think price action is trading right here. And oh, look, we're just trading right here. It's a negative 2% candlestick. I don't know how many times we have said that and then followed it up with, oh, and by the way, when a 10% candlestick does come, whether it be in the form of a breakdown or a breakout or a spot ETF approval or spot ETF denial, I don't know what it may be, but when it does come, because guess what? That's the entire fucking point of you being here in crypto, is to play into the speculation and the volatility and how things are grossly mispriced in one way or the other, right? That's what you're here for. Exaggerated kinds of trends, crazy kinds of moves, exponential kinds of gains in a month, right? 30% rallies in a month, fully retracing, FUD, and then continuing with another 20% rally on top of that. That's what you're here for. When we resume the entire premise of you being here, when we go back into that kind of regime, what you deem the standard, what you deem the entire incentive to be looking at this chart in the first place, when we go back into that, you're going to have a terrible time because you've gotten used to and comfortable and complacent with 2% range of volatility in a week, right? 4% amplitude of volatility in 3 weeks, 10% range in 3 months, something to that degree. It's fucking absurd. It really is. And your brain, guys, this sounds fucking corny, but your brain is literally programmed to continue adapting to whatever the newest thing is. I mean, one could argue that that's how we we're able to survive and evolve to get here today, right? Your brain is programmed to start adapting. So when you see 5% range of volatility for a month straight, your brain is going to adapt to get used to that 1 month range where the highest peak is only 5% higher than the lowest low. You're going to get used to that. And then when this candle comes, you don't know what to fucking do. I have a tweet that says something along the lines of, and this was just tweeted not too long ago, if you're losing your shit over 3% moves, you're going to paper hand the 10% candlestick. You are going to revenge short the 20% rally. You are going to somehow manage to be worse off in a bull market than when you started and when that bull market started. So don't freak out over the 3% moves. I hope that that has been the case and that you have deeply adhered to that kind of a mindset and logic. I hate to break it to you, but it is logic. It really is. Don't freak out over a 3% move. And then when a 10% move comes, it won't feel fucking massive and like your entire life just changed in an instant, right? Honestly, the coffee's still kicking in, guys. So if I'm stuttering and and tripping over my words, then I'm going to blame it on that's why. But that's the reality of it. So I would hope that we're kind of seeing like, wow, that really is exactly what happened. When that 10% candlestick was unfolding, I was sitting here thinking, do I need to totally reassess my investment position? And wow, in hindsight, it really wasn't all that crazy of a move. The honest reality is this is a 25% 7 month long range. Is that right? Just about. Yeah. 7 months of ranging in a 25% region. Now 25% is quite massive, right? It's not nothing. 25% is a lot. But 25% in comparison to why you're here is nothing, right? If I ask any single one of you your Bitcoin price target 10 years from now, I can almost guarantee to a 99% certainty that every single one of you are going to tell me something that is at least 200% higher than current price, right? At least 200%. Some of you are thinking 200% Mercury, that would put us at what, 90K? That seems like nothing. That seems like, yeah, that's kind of underballing it a lot, right? And it's like, Mercury, we're kind of thinking like 100, 180, 250, somewhere around there, 10 years from now. So what is 25% to you if it's spanning a 7 month long range? What is a 10% candlestick in comparison to a 10% 2 month long range, right? It's nothing in the grand scheme. It's that simple kind of way to justify neglecting a lot of this price action and finding a sense of balance. And the way that I go back to that and the way that I'm able to do that best and get that idea across is, are you going to tell your grandkids anything about this price action? I mean, to be quite honest with you, maybe I will tell my grandkids about this candlestick, but not because it's a 10% move, more so because it's the day that a Cointelegraph intern decided, jail might not be that bad, right? That's probably why if I ever bring up today's daily candlestick to one of my grandkids, that's probably the reason and not the move itself. Guys, it's not really that meaningful. So now that I have totally underwhelmed the 10% move and the egregious wick that has now stained the chart for the rest of eternity, right? Let's continue and discuss actual price action and market movements and whatnot. The wick itself is egregious, right? It's ugly because it's ugly. It's now there for the rest of eternity. We have to look at it. It now affects every single one of our analysis moving forward for the rest of forever, right? It's like a 2019 China candle pump. It's now on the chart. Whatever happens after, whether it fully retraces or whether we fill in the wick and it was actually a test pump, right? Whatever happens thereafter, it has to be acknowledged. The issue with that is it's fake, right? We know the context of the candlestick itself. We're not just the person who is trading the chart, purely objectively and has no emotional attachment and doesn't even know what crypto is, doesn't know what Bitcoin does. We're not that person. That's the reality of it. We try to be that person as much as possible, but this is one of those times where we can use our little bit of context to benefit us and truthfully make things more convoluted. It's not that easy as, oh, it's just a wick on a chart. It was a news event, which at least, by the way, at least now we understand how the market will react when an ETF is actually approved. I don't really think there was too much speculation as to what might happen the day that an ETF gets approved. I don't think anyone in here, I would hope not at least. I don't think anyone in here was saying, "Oh, the day, the minute, right, the hour that a spot ETF gets approved, we're actually going to go down. It's a total sell the news event. Somehow, miraculously, that same hourly candlestick, we would close lower." I don't think anyone was saying that. I would really hope not. I don't see how that would ever possibly be the case. You would kind of have to get an initial pump, at least in the very beginning. And then might end up being a sell the news event. Maybe 2 days later, we come back and we've totally retraced the move and then created a lower low and blah, blah, whatever, right? There's always going to be, for a news event like that, you could pretty much guarantee that there's going to be an initial pump, right? At least initial. Now, what happens thereafter, your guess is as good as mine, but there's some pretty high confidence that when that news comes out, there's going to see an initial bid, right? At least that has now been confirmed. If you've had any doubts about that, personally, I have not. I don't think that it's really all that logical. The issue is because it's fake and because we know the context, bid programs and things like algorithms and even moving averages, right? Because how are moving averages calculated? Everything is now affected. Everything. Every single thing in this market is now affected. We just had over $100 million in liquidations in a market, guys, where every single day we're printing less and less volume, right? The discords that you're in are starting to get less and less active. The people that you know in this industry are starting to become less and less interested. And now there's even less. Now, right? Like now more people got burned and you guys saw this in general chat. We had someone who's part of our family who just decided this might be it for me. Maybe this is where I've had enough and I need to take a break and maybe I need to walk away for good. That's the reality of it. So everything gets affected hereafter. It's not just a candlestick. It's not just a pump, right? That got retraced. It's not just fake news. It's now going to affect the rest of the market for drastically for the short term and then less so the farther that time goes on, right? So in a month from now, the candlestick will just be a candlestick. We will mostly have neglected it. It won't really have, too much influence on our assessment of price action or our analysis. It really won't be all that, noteworthy. But for the next few days and maybe even into next week, it's going to drastically affect everything. So the way that this works is when there's an initial news event and you have speculators who, well, first of all, let's not bullshit ourselves here. Before the news even comes out, some Telegraph intern, whether he was paid off or whether he decided to do it on his own malicious intent, he was telling people, right? Or he himself or she was entering into a position and therefore creating a bid prior to the news event occurring. Hey, just so you know, you're my best friend. I've known you for 10 years. I want you to make a lot of money. I got this intern position at Cointelegraph. And just so you know, I'm going to tweet out this news. So market long right now because we're going to go up. I'm going to manipulate the market to go up. Trust me. Right? Or, hey, I have some groundbreaking information. Just pay me six figures and, I'll hook you up. I'll let you know exactly when I tweet this out. I'll let you know, right? Whatever. So there's people who got in before. There's always in markets, definitely, but also life itself. There's an information ladder, and it tends to be. Sorry, excuse me. This is this is rough. I don't ever do streams this early. I'm like having a hard time keeping my breath. One second, guys. Okay. There's an information ladder in all things in finance, especially markets, but always life itself too. And it tends to be that by the time that you've gotten the information, and I don't like this comparison, but if you know the movie Human Centipede, it's absolutely disgusting to think about it that way. But it's kind of the truth. If you're at the very bottom of the barrel, you're getting everyone else's shit. The information is already passed through. So well before the news has even come out, that information was already known by someone or at least some I'm sorry, some group or at least someone. Right? They were then able to take advantage of that information well before you. If we want to get into politics, how the absolute fuck are all of these senators who have six-figure salaries come in and they be a senator or a politician for 10 years, but they end up $100 million, you know, wealthier than when they started their term. Doesn't make any fucking sense. That's the information ladder, right? They get the info well before you or I. So that starts, and by the time the information hits us, it's already gone by. Now it's on us to push it the rest of the way to benefit everybody else, right? There's a afterthought after us though, and it's algorithms. When algorithms see us start to move price action and move the market, those algorithms begin firing off. Whether it's trend recognition algos, right? The initial volume that's coming in and crazy discrepancies in something like that, crazy discrepancies in volatility or crazy discrepancies in volume, meaning for however long in a row, volume was consistently putting in this amount and you can't really see it right now, right? It was on that daily chart. But for however long in a row, right, we're getting volume like this. And then suddenly volume starts to pick up and it's incredibly noteworthy because it's a major discrepancy compared to all of the volume prior. Those algos start to fire off, right? They start to speculate on a new trend forming. Something like moving averages, a lot of indicators are based off of momentum. So they wait for candle closes. So once candles start closing and suddenly price action is, even if it's a 1 minute candle or a 5 minute or 15, right? Suddenly price action is 10% higher than where it was 5 minutes ago, then those trend recognition algos are going to start firing off. As we're speaking right now, those algos are continuously lagging. There's currently people speculating that no, it actually isn't fake, and the Cointelegraph dude just has the information well before everyone else. And actually, later today, someone's going to come out and say, "Oh, by the way, spot ETF actually is approved." Right? There's people speculating. There's algos who are still catching up. There's always a new narrative. There's always a new thought. There's always a new conspiracy. There's always something else that follows up after the initial event. Right? Everything's a continuous lag effect. And it's just constantly that information cycle. So we're currently running through that right now. And somebody asked me, Mercury, what if today's candle closes above the 200 daily moving averages? That has been your level to watch for quite some time now. So what if we close above it? What if this is the catalyst that gets us above it, even though it's fake, or maybe it isn't fake, right? If we get above 200 dailies, does that not force your hand to start looking for bids and looking for longs again and try and gain more exposure and blah, 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 and yada, yada? My honest answer to that, this is what I fucking hate, because like most regurgitated advice in anything in life and also markets, especially trading, it's true until it isn't. So 99 out of 100 times when you guys come into the streams, I'm going to tell you, fuck the news event, trade the chart. This is the one time where I think your technical analysis does not fucking matter. Truthfully, I don't think it matters. I think that the event itself is so obscure and unique to the chart itself that takes priority over the chart itself. So what price we're currently trading at, I don't see that as a fair value at the moment. I see that as there's still speculation in the air. There's still dust that has not settled and hit the ground just yet. We're still in a weird fucking zone, right? This just happened 2 hours ago. What, we fully expected the market to adapt to this event that all unfolded within the span of 15 or 20 minutes, and then 2 hours later fully reprice everything at a fair value again? That's just not possible. It's just not possible, right? There's still algorithms that are catching up. There's still speculation left in the air. There's still people coping that are, I bought 29K and we fully retraced and the news was fake. What am I supposed to do here? I'll just hold, or, I'll dollar cost average. I'll buy some more and hope that something else comes out later today and it actually isn't fake. All of that is still in the air. So I'm neglecting this price. You see Bitcoin at 28, 50. I'm just looking at a candlestick that is yet to close and is yet to be providing more information to me. Maybe tomorrow I'll have more insight. Maybe tomorrow we come back and we're still trading at the exact same price that we're trading at right here, right now. Right? In which case, not really much more has been tagged on to the information ladder. And I really can't make any more of an assumption that I can today, right now, where there's still dust that's in the air left to settle. I truthfully believe, with my whole heart, the worst thing that you can do here is make a decision right here, right now. Totally change your financial kind of stance on this market, totally change your investment ledger, totally change how you've been trading this, totally change your blueprint, your plan, because guess fucking what, guys? Did you not know that any time within the past 6 months a spot ETF might get approved and you might wake up to a 20% candlestick? I mean, answer that question for me, right? I'm not trying to bash you. I'm not trying to make you aware that, oh, okay, Mercury, I get it. I bought the top, I FOMO'd in, and I made a mistake. No, no, no. It's not that. Answer the question. Were you unaware anytime within the past 6 months that you very well may, and we in here as family, every single one of these streams, have been saying, at least me, right? I have been saying, I deem a spot ETF, a Bitcoin spot ETF, very likely. I deem it likely. I almost see it as inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And I believe fully, I do believe that before the final deadlines, which for one of them is January of 2024, I think it's January 12th or something. And for the rest of them are frequently March of 2024. I fully believe before those final deadlines hit, we will get a spot ETF. So that means inherently, then, I'm anticipating there will come a day sometime before, I don't know, when did BlackRock start to pick up interest in Bitcoin? Like March, February, right? I'll say February. So sometime between February of 2023 and January of 2024, I'm fully expecting there is going to be a day where I wake up, a Bitcoin spot ETF is approved, and because we just discussed it, I can't imagine a Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved and we wake up and the same minute that that news comes out, we actually get a negative 10% candlestick. Truthfully, if that's your thought, then I can't help you. Right? I don't know what to tell you. Like, at least we will get an initial pump. If you believe that that initial pump will be a sell the news event thereafter, fair, right? I can't say anything against that. But there will at least be an initial rally. I can say that with pretty much 99.99% confidence, right? There's not really much doubt that that happens, at least initially. So that means sometime between February of 2023 and January of 2024, I'm expecting there's going to be a day where I wake up, and whether I'm positioned or not, I'm going to wake up to a green candlestick, right? Or I'm going to be going about my day, playing outside with my puppy, or maybe I'm staring at the chart, right? One of you guys said that. Thankfully, I was staring at the chart as this was happening and I was able to make money on it. Great, right? But I'm expecting there will come a time where that happens. Did you not know it might happen sometime between February and January of 2023 and 2024? Were you unaware? So when it started happening, how come everything went out the window? How come all logic, rationale, and everything about balance and positioning and hey guys, we've been trading in a 6 month 20% range, and oh, by the way, below that, we're trading at a 2%, I'm sorry, a 5%, 10%, 3 month long range or 2.5 month long range, whatever. How come all of that shit goes out the window when it actually happens? Is it perhaps because we are not in balance emotionally? Is it perhaps because we have an emotional attachment to an asset, and therefore, because of that emotional attachment, we're then allowing ourselves to succumb to impulsive decisions? Is it perhaps because we lack the discipline and emotional maturity to not take action on a whim and instead wait 30 minutes to make a decision? Because that's what you would do for literally anything else in life that wasn't financially related, right? If your wife comes and tells you, hey, I'm thinking I want to move. I want to take this job offer in, Dubai. And I'm thinking that we need to kind of sell our house and pack up, everything and get our kids into our new school and teach them Arabic and blah, 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 and yada, yada, and go live in Dubai. What do you think? Are you going to give her an answer within the same 30 minutes? Are you going to take at least 30 minutes to give her an answer? So why don't you do the same thing for your financials? How come your financials, right, don't get the same kind of respect? Is it perhaps because we succumb to the ease of access and Mercury, if he so desired to, and if he so allowed himself to, by not being in balance prior to this outcome and not applying a sensible and logical and rational kind of approach well before this outcome, hey, I fully fucking expect sometime between February and January that I'm going to wake up to a Bitcoin spot ETF. I need to make sure that when that happens, I'm not succumbing to FOMO, right? Could I not then, if I did not apply any of those things, could I not have, when I was sitting on the toilet this morning, still rubbing off the crust out of my eyes, could I not have logged into Bybit and market longed and fully changed the way that I'm stanced in this market within 30 seconds? Are you going to tell me that I didn't have the capability of doing that? You absolutely do. Guys, that is more a hindrance than it is a benefit. You don't really need that more often than not, unless you're a news trader, right? And in which case, you wait for those kinds of events and you pray, right? PREY, on the fact that when something like that happens, you absolutely can, within 30 seconds, go and take advantage of it. Again, you have to be fully ready for those kinds of things. That has to be your style. That has to be what you're comfortable with. You have to have conviction that you have a greater read on news events, so on and so forth, right? A lot of us are not that guy. So if that's not you, you're not taking advantage of a news event. You're not trying to get in on the news before everyone else. You're not trying to pull a fast one in the market. You're not trying to get, extract value from something that is not fully priced in yet. You're just an emotional market participant who sees volatility and decides, I need to take advantage of this because, oh, wait, that's the entire point of why I'm here. Is it not? That's the point that I want to get across. That is the major point for today's stream. If that has not proved the point that I have been making for months now, If this candlestick does not prove this point that I have been making, that a balanced and rational and logical approach and a higher time frame outlook, and hey, are you going to tell your grandkids about this? And hey, maybe don't succumb to 2 or 3% moves, because when a 10% moves comes, you're not going to know what to do, and you're going to paper hand and sell your long too short, and then try and dollar cost average into a short, and then market close that at the very top, and then try and buy the retest, and then yeah, you're not really going to do too well. Oh, and then when a 20% rally comes, you're going to try and fade it. Oh, and when we go into a bull market, you're going to be a non-believer. You're going to be saying, oh, that's not a higher high, that's a sweep of the high. Surely this can't happen, right? All of the shit that I've been spewing at you for months now, I would hope just got proved within the past 3 hours. I would really hope so. I hope we're seeing the benefit of a proper mindset. Not, oh my God, these moving averages gave you a perfect entry, Mercury. How did you not see this coming? Not, oh my God, as soon as we made a higher high, I knew that this was going to, go at least 5% higher. Not, Mercury, your system absolutely fucking sucks because, we broke down below 4-hour 200s first, and then we reclaimed them before, seeing the rally upwards. Not, nothing about that, right? Nothing TA related. Nothing about what the market did. Whether it continued going higher and the news was not fake and Cointelegraph, the intern was just a complete fucking, Chad legend, and he decided, I'm going to speculate on the news, and then it comes out 30 minutes later and it actually is real and we go 40% higher, or whether it fully retraces and we're currently trading back at these lows. I do not care. I hope you're seeing the benefit of a proper mindset. That's what's going to be the thing that saves your ass and makes you money at the same time in markets is mindset. You want the harsh reality? You can't control the market. You have no control over the Cointelegraph intern deciding, maybe jail's not that bad, and just going totally fucking off the wall and tweeting some obscure random ass shit to benefit himself and others, right? Or maybe just to have fun and create chaos. I don't know, right? You don't have control over that. You could have, like me, maybe speculated that, this is kind of weird. Why is Cointelegraph the only place reporting on this? We have, I have 3 other guys with their tweet notifications on, and none of those guys have reported on this, and they have scrapers, right? I don't know if you know what scrapers are, but it literally scrapes the internet waiting for news events to come out. So they're taking information from a plethora of different sources, and as soon as something gets posted to one of those sources that has a keyword inside of it, it automatically tweets out that news event, and then they benefit, right? They literally, same millisecond that something goes out, that tweet goes out as well. The only interval of delay there is the amount of time before that tweet gets sent. That's it. So it's just on Twitter interface, and then whatever that difference is, it's usually just a couple seconds that tweet gets put out. Maybe you decided, that's not real. This is clearly fake. Cointelegraph, this is all bullshit. This should not be rallying right now. This is fake news. Guess what? You can't control the market's reaction to that. You could have even very well known 100% fact, not me speculate, this is kind of weird, right? You could have been utmost conviction, certainty, this is fucking fake. This needs to retrace immediately. But you can't control the market's reaction. You can never control the market. You can only control yourself. Once you stop trying to control the market and stop trying to rely on outcomes and stop trying to have an otherworldly kind of conviction on, I have a greater read on this news event than other people because I'm superior, right? Once you lose all of that shit, it goes out the window, and you start focusing on just yourself and yourself alone. That's how you do well in markets. That's the only thing that you can control. So put all of your time and effort into trying to control that. And then you very well may do better for yourself. Again, if at any point this candlestick catches you off guard, I have not done my job. I failed as a entertainer who comes in and streams on the market 3 times a week. I failed. I spent as much time as possible to prepare not just myself, but all of you for this kind of event because it is inevitable. If it wasn't today on fake news, it may be tomorrow on real news, or maybe next week, or maybe next month. It will for sure happen, and it's going to happen again, and it's not done just yet. Because again, the dust hasn't settled. But even if the outcome from here is more 3% ranging for another 2 months, guess what? It's eventually going to happen again. Maybe on fake news again. Maybe it's real that time. I don't know. But you knew this was going to happen eventually. You knew. Every regime has to shift into a new regime, right? It's called a trend, not a permanent. Sometimes the trend is, hey, we were trending up, we were being volatile, we did get a 20% move in 1 month, but now we're going sideways, right? That regime changes, then that regime changes, then it changes again. And the market, just like life, is cyclical. There's one hot thing, and then we switch to something else, and that becomes the hot relevant thing. And then we go to something else, and then that becomes the hot ups and downs, right? Sometimes life's amazing, sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life's amazing, sometimes life sucks. Sometimes you're in that middle zone where it's just life. I'm just going about the day. I'm just running through the motions. It is what it is. There's nothing crazy going on. I'm not euphoric. I'm not down in the dumps either. I'm just living life. Right? I'm just clocking in, clocking out. That's all. Just like life. Markets are the same way. However you want to think about that is up to you. You can think about it in many different angles and perspectives, though. It's not just bull market, bear market. It's also ups and downs. It's also high volatility, low volatility. It's also trend range. It's also, right? It is applicable in so many different kinds of ways of thinking, but it is applicable. It is the case, always. There are just times where one regime lasts longer than typically. Extreme, right? 6 months, 7 months of 20% sideways. Yeah, that's pretty extreme. Last time that we ranged multi-monthly was back here. That was 5 months. We had one deviation. This is no deviations. This is just 7 months of ranging in a 20% range. This is 5 months of ranging and a 20% range with one deviation, right? That's extreme. This is 4 months of ranging and a 20% range with one deviation, right? This is 3 or 4 months of ranging with, you could argue, one deviation. These are extremities. Just like the trend lasts 60%, 2 months. Wow, that's crazy. Trend lasts 15%, 1 month. Okay, wow, that's pretty crazy. Trend lasts 40%, 1 month, 2 months. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Trend lasts 600%, 8 months. The extremity changes, but the gist, the concept is always the same. It's always going to move cyclically. Whatever the hottest thing is today may not be the hottest thing tomorrow. We play the extremities. That's where we benefit. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to shift into a new mindset, which is really, I would hope, just a kind of branch off of the overall foundation of a mindset that cumulatively creates a proper mindset. You have to be able to continue adapting to whatever the market does. You cannot allow yourself to get lulled into complacency because, oh my God, I wasn't expecting the news to come out on October 16th of 2023, even though I kind of forecasted that it would probably come out sometime between February and January of 2024. Wow. February 2023 and then January 2024, right? You can't allow yourself to be caught off guard. You just can't let it happen. It's just such an amazing way to ensure that you end up a loser. It really is. Balance is not a meme. It's not what you want to hear, and I fully understand that. It's not what I wanted to come to a conclusion to several years ago, right? That, hey, I have to eat drawdown because I'm emotionally attached to this asset and not be fully exposed when we're going up. That fucking sucks. I don't want to do that. I want to be making the most amount of money possible on every 10% candlestick and be fully out of the market and let my cash appreciate in buying power every negative 10% candlestick. That seems like the way to make the most money. Come to find out, per my experience at least, the past 2 years, no, it isn't. I watched as my ledger drew down negative 80% from 69K to 15. And somehow, when we rallied to 25, my account is at new all-time high net worth. How the fuck is that possible? That shouldn't be possible. Balance. It's the same thing that allowed me to wake up, see the news event come out 3 minutes ago, wipe the crust off of my eyes, and say, yeah, I know what happens here. I probably gonna get a nice green candlestick, go sit down on the toilet, and scroll Twitter and watch the chart and just watch as the fireworks unfold and speculate a little bit. That's kind of weird. Why is Cointelegraph the only person responding on this? Okay, well, it's only been 5 minutes. Maybe everyone else is just lagging, searching for the source, right? I don't know. Maybe it's fake, but that'd be kind of crazy if it was fake. Come to find out, it actually was fake. That's what allows me to do something like that, be totally susceptible to those impulsive kind of decisions. Don't sit here and let me bullshit you that the thought never crossed my mind of logging on to Bybit and just market longing at 27.8K or whatever the fuck we were trading at when I first woke up. Don't let me convince you that that thought never crossed my mind because I'm just that much of a fucking monk, right? I'm just Buddha himself and did not even succumb to that thought even, right? It never even crossed my mind. Don't convince yourself that that's the case. It absolutely did. Absolutely it did. But I was able to justify putting it off and saying, no, it's okay. It is what it is, right? As I'm watching this candlestick unfolding, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, well, it's not ideal. Obviously, I'm not positioned in a trade, right? I don't have any crazy trade exposure. I have my ledger, thank God, but I don't have any trade exposure. That fucking sucks. This is the first rally in this whole year where I'm not really exposed. The first major rally where I'm going to be left behind, totally sidelined. I've not established a single spot position. I have nothing here. I have to work with whatever comes thereafter. So when we're trading at 30K, I'm like, damn, maybe we just keep going. Maybe I never get the pullback to position into. That fucking sucks. Oh well, right? That's the follow-up thought. Oh well, it is what it is. Those 5 words, by the way, are like my new philosophy for life ever since a couple years ago. It is what it is, right? It's true. It can't possibly be what it is not. It is what it is, guys. All right, whatever. I knew this was possible. I have the ledger for this exact reason. I'm always in balance. I'm always at peace with the market for this exact reason. Let me not put myself in a position to blow up my account, right? The best way to not get burned is to not put your hand in the flame. Guess what? The best way to not get burned is to don't start the fire in the first place. Don't start the fire. You can't possibly get burned. I cannot possibly get burned on a position if I don't take a position. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I can get burned if I put my hand in the flame, meaning if I take a position and then immediately get stopped out because the news is fake and blah, 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 and we fully retrace and I aped into a 10% candlestick and bought the exact top, and then we pull back negative 3% lower, and suddenly I'm reevaluating my entire life decisions. Yeah, I can possibly get burned that way if my hand accidentally crosses that flame, but I cannot possibly get burned if I don't start the fire in the first place. How was I able to justify it? Justify not taking action in a position where I know fully, damn well, it's in my best interest to not take action. I don't know how to trade the Cointelegraph BTC spot ETF news where literally no one else is reporting on it. Yeah, I have no clue how to trade that. When I wake up and I see that that news came out 3 minutes ago, I see numbers going up, I see volatility kicking in, I see volume kicking in. I'm like, oh yeah, this is probably going to go up. But I know damn well Mercury is not a news trader. Mercury is not a scalp trader. Mercury is not the kind of person to come in and ape into a random green candlestick on a whim at local highs, right? Yeah, I have a good understanding that this probably goes up, but it's probably in my best interest to do nothing. Thank God, right? This is prior to the retrace. Thank God I have allowed myself the ability to justify doing nothing. You know how? Because I'm at balance and at peace with the market. Guys, BTC ripped 10% today, right? Think back on what were your emotions. What are your emotions when you're watching BTC trade at 30K? I mean, just take a minute and ponder on it. Think back. It shouldn't be too hard. It was 2 hours ago. What are the thoughts crossing your mind as BTC trades at 30K when 15 minutes ago it was trading at 27? What crosses your mind? Is it, oh, I'm fucked? Is it, oh my God, I'm so euphoric because I was long prior to this and I'm going to make so much fucking money when this goes to 32K and it goes to 40? And what if we make new all time highs from here? Did I just catch a generational bottom entry? Did I do this? Did I do that? Is it, oh my God, my short is going to get liquidated if I don't dollar cost average in further? Or, man, why did I remove my stop loss? Or what are your thoughts? Why are those your thoughts? I'm not going to answer that. You tell me. I mean, just tell yourself, really. Why are those your thoughts? Why did you have those thoughts when the 10% candlestick unfolded? Relate it back. What's the foundational kind of reasoning for it? Don't treat the symptom, cure the cause, right? Not talking about, oh, that was my thought because I was short Mercury. Duh, you idiot. So, of course, I'm going to be freaking out that my short stop loss is going to get hit, right? No, I'm not talking about the one trade. Why is there that emotional attachment? Why did those thoughts become allowed? The follow up question to that, how come those thoughts did not ensue on this candlestick for Tesla? And again, you answer the question. I don't want to answer it for you. You answer it. It's the same kind of a move, right? 10%. This was pre-market open. So that means between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. EST, the market decided Tesla deserves to be trading 10% higher than current price from the past weekend, right? One weekend goes by and it's like, okay, by the way, up 10% pre-market. So how come those thoughts never occurred in your head for Tesla? Why? It's the same move, right? It's the same exact move. 10% within a very relatively short time frame. This is the important stuff. Balance is not a meme. It is not a meme. It's not what you want to hear. It's not what seems to be the most benefiting thing, but it is the truth. Find balance. Don't allow yourself to succumb to market movements. All right. I'm going to read some of the chat here before we move on. Mav says, we'll join later taking daughter to school. And as much as I try to convince her to listen to Merck's voice, she chose Miley Cyrus. Oh, that's hilarious. Merck wasn't even close to second. Taylor Swift was next. Yeah, I don't blame her. To be fair, I'm pretty sure my fiance wants to hear Taylor Swift over my own voice. So, valid. Okay, we have a couple questions here. Jordan says, hope no one got wrecked too bad. Feeling lucky I was watching the charts when it happened, so I was able to take profit. Well done, sir. Also hoping nobody got wrecked too bad. Unfortunately, I know at least one person was. It's not crazy to think about, though. There's $100 million in liquidations today in a 1 hour time frame. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Jordan says, I was using 6 hour 200s, and daily 200s aren't very clean anymore for BTC. That's why I was long BTC, because we never lost 6 hour 200s. Jordan, I know you and Jace, who was previously in here, but I think dropped off, have been talking about 6 hour 200s, and very well done, sir. This transitions into a question from Lizzie. So she asked me a question over the weekend and said, hey, Merck, I was wondering if you could elaborate on two questions on your next stream. How do I identify the best trend portrayal? And how do I identify an illiquid token? Okay, so first question, how do you identify an efficient trend portrayal? Truthfully, Lizzie, that is fully arbitrary, meaning it's up to you and your discretion. So when I say most efficient trend portrayal, it's not set in stone. It's not you have to have the same thoughts that I have, right? It's never that. It's always just maybe it's just because the side of the bed that I woke up on today, I think that this is the best trend portrayal. And then I very well could wake up the next day and say, well, actually, I take it back. This actually seems to portray the trend better, right? That's not the most amazing answer in the world, but that is the honest truth. Your most efficient trend portrayal and how I dictate that is purely based off of my own discretion. So, again, here's an amazing example. Everyone in here knows I have been using 4 hour 200 moving averages for quite some time now for BTC to portray the high time frame trend, right? Jace and Jordan have instead said, I don't really like the 4 hour 200s. I think that the 6 hour 200 moving averages portray the trend much more effectively. I have a better understanding of price action when I go and look at those as a trend that portrays price action than I do when I go and look at the 4 hour. I'm going to decide to play, right, and analyze things off of the 6 hour. And if you're analyzing things off of the 6 hour, I would hope that that you're trading off of the same things that you're analyzing, because or else what is the fucking point of looking at charts all day, right? Drawing key levels and assessing higher highs and trend portrayals and blah 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 if you're not going to go and trade it. So that's how Jordan is able to say, no, I was able to justify longing BTC because we tested 6 hour 200s, and in my analysis, this is a bullish retest of previous range highs, right? And it doesn't matter that the fake news spot ETF came out. We were going to go up anyway, based on my analysis, right? Jordan gets to come in and say that. Jace gets to come in and say that. Absolutely. Because they have a different trend portrayal. This is the beauty of the market, by the way. It's like, Mercury, this fucking sucks. You're telling me that I might have an analysis, and then if I go ask your opinion on it, you might tell me something totally different and see it in a totally different fashion. Yeah, absolutely. This is also why the market exists. You cannot have someone, or you cannot have a bid if there's no one on the other side of that bid willing to sell to you, and vice versa. You cannot take profit if there are no buyers, right? You can't sell if there's no buyers. Everyone's just trying to take profit. So there's always going to be that other side of the argument. That's why, and this goes to everyone, not just Lizzie, that's why the technical analysis is for the most part arbitrary. It is for the most part arbitrary because guess what? Eventually there comes a time where, regardless if I'm saying 4 hour 200s or Jordan is saying 6 hour 200s, eventually there comes a time where we have the same analysis. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, even a 4-year-old will be able to tell us which way the chart is headed. It's then on us to determine what is the best way to portray that idea. So, truthfully, as more and more time goes on, I more deeply subscribe to Jason Jordan's analysis and assessment from weeks ago, by the way. So, props to them. That the 6 hour 200s are, in hindsight, for me at least, in foresight for them, a much more efficient trend portrayal. So that's the honest reality of it, right? That's how I've been able to then adapt to the price action at hand and change into the assessment moving forward. And with all of that adapting, unfolding, I'm now subscribing to the 4-year-old's idea, right? That when you look at this chart, I don't care that the spot ETF was fake. When you just look at the chart objectively, you just look at the wicks, right? These are all higher highs and these are all higher lows. So numbers heading up, right? Now that doesn't really change the highest time frame analysis for me. When I look at this time frame, I can still argue that we're going down. And again, to that I say, it's not just the objective analysis. It's not just the comprehension of a 4-year-old. We do know the context behind this. We do understand the news. We do know BTC for what it is, not just a ticker that goes up and down and sometimes trades higher and lower, right? We do know all that stuff. So I'm able to say, I'm still going to neglect it. I'm still going to refrain from making a much more drastic, higher time frame outlook kind of an analysis on this price action now, just because there's still dust that's in the air and we're waiting for that to settle and whatnot. And we'll see what happens from here, right? If the market decides we don't care that the news was fake, this deserves to be trading higher, right? Then at some point, eventually, just like now, how I'm starting to subscribe to Jordan's and Jace's trend portrayal that BTC was never really all that bearish on lower time frames. We were still bullish on high time frames because we were still above those 6 hour 200s. And if you use the 6 hour 200s, it was just a bullish retest, right? There was nothing crazy going on here. We are just retesting a key support level and hoping that we hold it, right? Quote unquote, ideal swing long zone. Props to Jordan, props to Jace, right? They were able to trade off of that analysis. So, if that becomes the hindsight analysis and we start to add on to it, we compound onto the snowball, then yes, I'm even then more so than today able to justify subscribing to this idea then. Because in hindsight, that was the correct, right? Quote unquote correct. There's never a right or wrong in trading. It's pros and cons. Am I using 4 hour 200s? Am I using 6 hour 200s? But as the snowball continues compounding, I'm then able to say, you know what? This was the right analysis. This was the cleaner way to assess it. So perhaps moving forward, it will still be the cleaner way to assess it, right? Meaning next time when we come down and retest, let's say we've added on to the snowball. So next time when we do come down and retest, I'm going to most part neglect the 4 hour 200s that are right here and opt to instead trade the 6 hour 200s that are over here, because that's now, in hindsight, the most efficient trend portrayal. Jordan and Jace were able to make that assessment and justify the pros and cons to say, no, I'd actually be more comfortable using the 6 hour 200s and playing it that way, right? I was still able to justify, no, I'll still use the 4 hour 200s All right, they got choppy, whatever, but I'll still use them. I still see them as the most efficient trend portrayal. So again, it's discretion. It's all discretionary. That is kind of the point, though, is because it's discretionary, no one can tell you what's right or wrong. It's just on you to find the most efficient way for you to approach trading that chart. And then, right, you go from there. And then, really, what dictates your success is the execution part of that, never the analysis that you're making. So, we'll have some people who, not not we, right? I don't think anyone in here has ever told me this, but I'll have some people on Twitter who will say, "Mercury, your range is drawn wrong. How have you been trading markets this long? You don't even know how to draw a range correctly." Right? Guys, it's arbitrary. It's fucking arbitrary. The irony is, I used to tell people that. I used to reply guide to people and say, "Oh, you're using the range wrong. Why would you use this moving average? Go look at this one. Why would you do this? You go do that. You drew your trend line wrong. You should have drawn it this way instead of drawing it that way. You should have accounted for the wicks and not the candlesticks. And if you use the wicks, then this is actually already bearish and blah, 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 blah. And how are you able to justify that daily market structure is already broken? And in my eyes, we're still holding a higher low." Guys, I used to be the person replying to people on my Docs Twitter account, not on Trader Mercury, which, by the way, at the time was Cookie Monster, right? But not on that, but on my real Twitter account. I used to reply to all these CT, guys and be like, "You're not doing it right. This way, that way. You should do it my way. That's the right way." You know what the biggest fucking irony in that was? Is I'm telling people, "Hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Why would you draw your trend line that way? You don't know how to draw ranges. You should use this moving average instead of that one. You're an idiot." I wasn't able to make money in markets. That's the honest reality of it. That was the biggest irony in me sitting there reply guying to all these people and telling them that they know fuck all about technical analysis, is that I had not been able to consistently make money in markets. I'm sitting there for like 6 months or a year straight, consistently breaking even, getting fucking lucky and being a complete degenerate, and then managing to make a sum of dollars, and then in the next few trades immediately giving it back. And I would just repeat that process over and over and over and over again. That was my entire 2018, by the way. So I joined in November of 2017. That was my entire year. I would make some money and then I'd give it back. And I'd make some money and I'd give it back. So my count is like trading within like a 10% standard deviation. Sometimes I'm like, 10% in profit, and sometimes I'm, 10% under, right? I've lost 10% of my portfolio net worth, but I'm kind of for the most part just sitting break even relatively. I did that for a year straight. And the whole year, I'm the guy. "You don't know how to draw this range. Why'd you use this moving average? You should have used this one. Why'd you draw your trend line like that? You should have neglected the RSI bear div on this time frame and opted for the bull div on this time frame instead. That's the right way." I'm not making money in markets though. The execution was poor. So it didn't fucking matter what the analysis was, right? The analysis part is always going to be arbitrary. That should never dictate whether or not you are successful in markets, ever. Whether you're using 4 hour or 6 hour 200s, right? Something as small as that should not have the ability to dictate your success on a long enough time frame. Because again, eventually, ask the fucking 4-year-old. If they're looking at the 6 hour 200s, which way are they telling you the chart is headed? And then if they look at the 4 hour 200s, it takes a little bit more time, but eventually they catch on. Oh, yeah, chart's headed to the top right corner. It's impossible to be caught off guard by markets. So, what trend portrayal you use is just the most efficient way to portray that trend for you. I would hope, however, you are portraying it in terms of your analysis is also how you're trading it, right? Because, or else, what's the fucking point of looking at the chart? So just assess things based on what seems the best way to portray them per your discretion. As time goes on and you gain more and more experience, you're going to be more and more comfortable making your own discretionary analysis because you will have convinced yourself that, wow, I actually can do this, right? Wow, I actually can pick a sort of trend line or moving averages or use Ichimoku Cloud or assess bull and bear divs. And enough time has gone on to the point where I can justify trading with more size, with more capital, and putting more on the line. I can justify to my gut why I'm able to do that because I have a resume that I built for myself. I know that my discretion is maybe not alpha, but I at least do have a whim on how to trade price action and how to adapt to new trends and how to trade ranges and how to place my stop losses and where to take profit and how much to scale out of profit when I hit key levels and so on and so forth. Right? You have to develop all that, but in order to develop it, you have to start applying it, and to some degree. So to that, I would say, in order to find an efficient trend portrayal, size down, right? Trade with less and start assessing trend portrayals. Start throwing uh, darts in a dark room and seeing how many actually hit the dartboard. Honestly, are you good at assessing trend portrayals, or do you find that you're often than not, right, coming back and saying, "Oh, in hindsight, I should have used this instead." And wow, this system seems to not really work for me. Maybe I need to go try something else, right? Maybe I need to get rid of an indicator. It's causing me too much confusion. That was the groundbreaking thing for me, was RSI. I was using RSI and I was trying to trend trade while using RSI and just could not wrap my head around it. There was too many conflicting arguments too often. I was just like, okay, I need to cut this out. And ironically, once I did, I was actually a more profitable trader. For some people, they rely on RSI. They use RSI, and that's the only thing that kind of keeps them grounded. That's kind of the forefront of their analysis and their system. So find out what works for you. But in order to find a trend portrayal, you have to start assessing the trend, right? You have to start assessing the trend. Not, oh, Mercury said this, so I'm going to use this, which, again, point proven. Shout out to Jace, shout out to Jordan. They had a totally different analysis than I did, and they were right. Were they not? It's not that there was a right or wrong, but in hindsight, they were right. Their analysis said the market would still be bullish and therefore implying still up on a high enough time frame, and that we would get yet another bearish retest of 200 dailies at minimum, and that we might threaten 28.5k still, and we might threaten breaking out of it. And I don't care if it happened in a fake spot ETF news or not, they were right. It did. They made money. I did not. That's all you need. That's why there's never one way to look at it. And for some of you, that might suck. It's like, but Mercury, I want my hand to be held. I want there to only be one way to look at it. And sometimes there is. Sometimes there's just such a clean trend. It's like, dude, how could you justify using anything else? Right? Like 4 hour 200s are clearly the trend here. So when they break down, I think everyone kind of has the same gist of an analysis there. Right? And 4 hour 200s, all the way back here. They're very clean. And then 4 hour 200s for these 3 months of negative 60% downtrend. So when they're reclaimed, we clearly know what's going on, right? There are those times where it's just like, it's just so clean that there's not really too much of a debate that needs to be had, right? But again, the market is discretionary. Everything in discretionary trading is discretionary. It's on you, how you see it, your perception of things, and how you think about them, right? Maybe I think about scaling assumptions and I say, oh, because we reclaimed a negative 60% 3 month long downtrend, I think we're going to go to new all time highs from here. You might say, Mercury, I'm looking at the same exact price action. I'm using the exact same trend recognition, the same levels, everything, but I only expect a 20% move, not new all time highs, right? That's all discretion. You have to build that. So I know that I went on a very, very long rant, but I would hope that that answers your question and then some, Lizzie. And then for the secondary question, how do you identify an illiquid token? My honest answer to that is you will know. You will absolutely know. So the actual way to identify an illiquid token is to literally literally go look at the order book of the exchange that you're trading on. That is going to tell you every single resting order that is on that exchange, unless that exchange allows iceberg orders, which I believe the only one that allows that I know of is Bitfinex. So iceberg orders meaning you can pay a premium to put your order onto the order book and not have it show that order is actually there. I believe that Bitfinex lets you do that. I don't know of any other exchange 100% that allows you to do that. So that means every time you go and look at the order book, you're always going to see the literal statistical data, every single order that's on that book resting, right? Including yours. So you can therefore assess how liquid is this token. There's also this thing called 2% depth. So that tells you, like if you go look at coin market cap right now, which maybe I should just pull it up, but there's 2% depth, and that's negative 2% and plus 2% depth. And that will tell you all of the resting orders 2% higher and 2% lower, and it tells you how much volume is within that 2% gap. So if you go trade an on-chain coin, that 2% depth might be much lower, meaning there's less resting bids in a 2% standard deviation between the current fair price, right? So 2% higher than fair price, 2% lower than fair price. There's less volume in resting orders sitting in that region because that coin is less liquid, right? For when you go compare that to something like the 2% depth on BTC, that number is going to be expectedly much higher. There's much more resting orders, right? Those are literal, figuratively figures of ways to assess liquidity. It's volume, it's statistics. You can't just negate it. It is exactly what it is, right? Usually, I think this question popped up because it was a Friday stream and we're doing market scans, and I'm saying, oh, I'm looking at this coin, it's illiquid. Look at this coin, it's illiquid. I'm not able to justify not looking at this altcoin because it's illiquid. At this point, I'm able to kind of justify. Wait. I'm able to kind of justify just not looking at a lot of these coins because they look illiquid. So quickly, let's just scan the market and let's find something that's incredibly illiquid. Let me find a proper example. This should not take long. Does this coin, Lizzie or anyone else, does this coin look liquid to you? Right? Just based off of speculation. You don't know anything about markets, but you know that this is typically not what a candle chart looks like. Does this look liquid? And the answer is clearly no. No, it is not liquid. You can justify that conclusion just by looking at the chart. It doesn't take too much brain power and effort to be able to say that's probably an illiquid coin, right? Something like this, also very illiquid. Let's find a very, very extreme example. There's going to be something in here that has weeks of nothingness that just has like a crazy 60% rally all of a sudden. We just got to find it, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the ticker is, but I know there's something in here. This might be one. Oh, that's Stacks. It's slightly illiquid. This is another very illiquid, right? So months of nothingness, because probably all of 2 actual humans trading this, and then suddenly a negative 25% candlestick in 4 hours. And then this also, again, negative 25% candlestick, and then fully retraced in the next 4-hour candlestick, and then some. That's an illiquid coin. Let's keep looking. Right? Does this look liquid to anybody? After this kind of price action unfolding for a week straight? And the answer is clearly no, right? So if you went and looked at the order book for something like this, if you went and looked at the 2% depth on something like this, it would confirm this idea But more often than not, you can kind of just look at the chart. If it's extreme enough, and really at this point, I can kind of just look at any chart and say that's not liquid either. It's not incredibly extreme, but I know for damn well that that is not liquid, right? More often than not, you can just look at the chart and you already know the answer. So there are statistical ways to back up that idea. Of course, that's always going to be the thing that keeps you grounded, especially as a beginner, are the literal statistics, the irrefutables. But eventually, over time, you will start to grasp the concept of, okay, what's liquid, what isn't, just based off of first glance. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. If you could look at LQTY, that would be great. Okay, we will look at that. Softnutto says, hilarious name, by the way. Um, could you get a bit of insight into how you traded parabola in bull markets? Was it as simple as going down to the lowest time frame trends or just using horizontal SRs for levels? Obviously, with parabolas, they don't give retests, so wondering how you captured these back in the bull market. Great question. So, truthfully, I'm not going to bullshit you. More times than not, when we were seeing parabolas in the bull market, I was already fully expecting that we would go into a bull market, and I was pre-positioned prior. So again, I know that I've talked about this before. There is a alternate universe, an alternate timeline where Mercury is incredibly risk aggressive still and is waiting for these kinds of pullbacks, or maybe even looking at something like hourly 200s or maybe 15-minute 200s during this crazy rally, right? How big of a rally is that? 50% rally, where you're probably trending along, I would say, maybe 15 or 30-minute 200 moving averages, right? There is an alternate universe, not too many universes over, where Mercury is incredibly risk aggressive and looking to long every single dip into that parabolic, as you said, parabolic trend portrayal. 15-minute 200s, 30-minute 200s over a 50% 3-week long rally, right? There is an alternate universe where I'm doing that. But that's not the universe that we live in currently. The universe that we live in is one where Mercury was already pre-positioned, right? After licking his wounds from March of 2020 and then getting back into the trading mindset and totally readapting how he went about things, and then still bag holding a lot of Ledger BTC and still had 100% exposure at the time, still trading, starts to re-implement his system again, and then positions for a major rally. Remember, the entire premise, the whole reason why I got destroyed in March of 2020, which I didn't get destroyed because I never realized these losses, but the whole reason I drew down my account negative 80% in March of 2020 is because I was fully adherent to the idea that we would see a bull market. I just thought we would see the bull market from 8.4K or whatever, and then start to rip into 50K and 60K and 100 and 200 and whatever, right? Well, we went to 3K first. So I'm able to fully justify that idea with the utmost conviction, right? Because that's what the chart is threatening. And it's also what my arbitrary thoughts are. So why is the chart threatening that? There's really not too much stopping us from at least getting back to these highs again. And if we get above those highs, there's really not too much resistance in between 13K and 20. Oh, we can't go back. Hold on, wait. Right? Is there much resistance here? And to me, the answer is no. No, there's not. So once we get above this level, we threaten new all-time highs. That's the way that I see it. That was my analysis. The last real kind of line where I'm able to justify a counter argument is, okay, maybe you find resistance at the all-time high. But even then, we're still threatening a move to 20K. And oh, by the way, because we understand extreme trends and extreme momentum and price discovery probably just creates continuation of that idea. Strength is strength, right? Instead of the more frequently way to think about it, strength is going to return to the mean. right? Hey, this thing is parabolic and threatening new all-time highs. It's probably going to end up being a double top, right? Instead of that way of thinking about it, no, the trend is the trend. Strength is strength. We threaten price discovery, and if we get into price discovery, that then threatens I don't know how much gains thereafter, potentially infinite, right? Maybe BTC goes to $1 million, and I'm just a pleb who can't even fathom that idea, right? Maybe it only goes to 40, maybe it only goes to 50, and I would even say it only went to 70K, 69, but still, right? My targets were much, much higher than that. Thankfully, I'm able to adapt because the trends broke and so on and so forth, right? But I'm able to justify just kind of maintaining that position, not only because my arbitrary thoughts and being I really am a bull maxi, right? I thrive in bull markets. I want things to go up in extreme trends on, exaggerated percentages, not only because of that, but also because the chart itself implied that. If we get above 13K, or really it's like more like 12K, if we get above that 12K, we could say weekly or even monthly supply zone, there's not really much stopping us from creating a new all time high thereafter, right? And again, don't take my word for it, back it up with statistics. Is there much stopping you once you get above 12K? And the answer is no. Statistically, that is going to be the case because there's not as much volume there. So that means there's not as much established resistance. That doesn't mean that we can't establish resistance, which we did. It just ended up not really meaning much. We just kind of stalled what was going to happen thereafter. So the thesis was if we get above every single relevant resistance, what's going to stop us from creating a new all time high? If we create a new all time high, what's going to stop us from continuing to go to the top right corner until potentially infinity? Probably not much. So the scaling of assumptions becomes above 12K equals potentially infinity, honestly. And knowing that we threaten that kind of, creates probable cause to say, maybe I should be looking to buy dips. Maybe I should be trying to establish spot positions on breakouts and reclaims of key trends, so on and so forth, right? So I do. And from there, I'm able to take two steps back because, again, we're not living in the alternate universe where Mercury is incredibly risk aggressive and is able to, grab his balls that are made out of fucking titanium and long 15-minute 200s every single, you know, 12 times that they're tested within 3 weeks during a 50% rally. Truthfully, I'm not that guy. I wish that I was, but I'm not that guy. Someone who I deem a close friend is that guy and walked away from the bull market with mid eight figures easily. Also, exact same age as me, by the way. So it is what it is. You trade the pros for the cons, right? I opted to not trade the 15-minute 200s, something I'm not very comfortable with, and not try and take on the more aggressive reward for the fact that if the 15-minute 200s break, be it this time or the next time or whatever, I can still be able to buy the 4 hour 200s when they're tested. Or maybe, right? Or I don't know. I give myself those luxuries, but I'm taking on a different set of pros and cons. So how I traded it is not necessarily the way that you might trade it. Don't sit here and tell me Jordan, who is eager, right? And Jordan, I hope I'm not doxing you too much, but he's 18. I'm sh- I imagine Jordan in my head, you still live with your parents. You're still not crazy, drowning in bills and like all these different responsibilities and like planning out your life right now and paying for a mortgage and so on and so forth, right? I can't imagine that that's the case right now. Are you going to sit here and tell me that Jordan and I, when we go into a bull market, or Jordan and a 40-year-old with 4 kids and a mortgage and a wife and a business that he has to keep up with and all these expenses and whatnot, are going to trade the next parabolic bull market the exact same way? Probably not, right? It doesn't make any sense. So, how I trade the bull market and how I trade parabolic rallies does not necessarily need to be the way that you trade it. I opted for the safer, quote unquote, right? The safer route that ensured, perhaps this was because of March 2020 PTSD. I don't know. You could maybe try and, do a psych evaluation on me and deem that to be the case. Truthfully, that seems like a pretty probable reason, right? But I opted for the safer, quote unquote, route where I just let the parabola play out. And if we go up 50%, I just see my position increase by 50% and my ledger increases by 50%. I didn't really, right? Unless there are some altcoins that are breaking out of 4-hour 200s and pulling back and testing clean trends and high time frame trend portrayals and blah, 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 yada, yada. I'm not really making too much more on top of that. I'm just kind of seeing the at face value of it, right? So in my head, I'm taking the safer route, but I'm sacrificing the additional reward, the extreme reward in the event that the 15-minute 200s hold the seventh time around 30% higher from where that trend was, started. And then they did. And then they did again. And they got to 50% before it eventually broke, right? And then from there, it got even more parabolic. And then we reclaimed those 15-minute 200s. We then chop those 15-minute 200s a little bit. But then when we break out of them again, oh, look, we're in the exact same environment, right? So I opted to not get chopped up during this time frame and lose on a trend trade during that pullback for the ability to trade and buy the pullback that happens, right? When they happen and make money that way and trade the parabola that way. Perhaps you, like Jordan, would probably take the opposite side of those pros and cons. That's not knocking you. That's not right or wrong. That's pros and cons. At the end of the day, we both have the same exact assessment on this market. Strength is strength. The trend is the trend, right? You're just applying it on a much more extreme time frame. I'm applying it on a higher time frame. That's it. But we have the same kind of gist, the same kind of concept, the same ideas. The thing that changes is what we're analyzing, how we're analyzing it, and therefore how we're executing off that price action. Price action never really didn't reward either of us. It never punished either of us. If you're trading 15-minute 200s, even if you get chopped up 3 or 4 times or lose on a trend trade 3 or 4 times, or if I'm trading 4-hour 200s, we both make money. Right? The risks that we took were different. And if you're taking on a higher risk to account for that, you should be rewarded greater, right? Otherwise, there's no fucking reason to take on higher risk if you're not going to be rewarded greater. So you take what you perceive to be the less risky route, and therefore you fully accept the fact that it's not going to be as rewarding. If you're able to justify it, you're able to justify it. As long as you're able to justify your own decisions with not delusion, but fact, right? Hey, I'm 18 years old. I don't really have that many expenses. I'm still living with my parents. I have everything to risk and not much to lose. I might as well try and trade these 15-minute 200s, man. If I'm able to milk 13 times from these 15-minute 200s, I might be able to 5x my account, whereas Mercury only makes 50%. We're still up big, right? We're both each, euphoric as hell, but maybe you're out there changing your life drastically and I'm only up 50%. I don't know. But that's kind of how I think about parabolic trends. So when you do go into a parabolic trend, you have to at least assess it. At least assess it. I can promise you, I guarantee you back here, I'm not the person saying, please give me my 4-hour 200 MA pullback. Please give me a pullback. Please give me a pullback. Please give me a pullback. Please me. Yay. Right. And then by the time that pullback happens, I'm like, do I really want to buy the dip? I don't know. Right. I'm not that guy. I promise you that. I'm the guy saying, hey, how the hell am I going to get these 4-hour 200s pullback if we're still trending along 15-minute 200s? If this is the trend along 15-minute 200 moving averages, how can I then justify that this is going to be tested if this is not yet broken? At least it's part of my analysis, right? It's at least part of the snowball. it becomes, Lizzie, it becomes an efficient way to portray that trend on that time frame. It becomes an important character to our story that we're trying to tell, right? To the narration of the story. So we at least acknowledge it, and then we say, "Oh, look at that. 15-minute 200s broke. Jordan, you just took a loss here. I mean, you're up like still 5x on your account, right? Because you were sitting there compounding that same exact position over and over and over and over and over again, and it played out to 50%. So you made shit tons of money on that trade, right? But you're finally getting stopped out, and it's looking like I might finally get my pullback. Our perception of probability shifts, even if it's just slightly. It does shift, right? Which, because there's not really much else here, parabolic trend that's relevant for 3 weeks and 50%, right? And then high time frame trend, which is relevant historically and recently. So there's really not much else. So it doesn't just shift slightly to me. My perception of probabilities scales pretty drastically. Oh, we lost 15-minute 200s. Okay, we're probably going to see a much deeper pullback, negative 12% or so, into testing 4-hour 200s, and then we'll see what happens from there. If we lose those, maybe this is, a double top. We can start to acknowledge those kinds of arguments. But as long as we still hold those, the high time frame picture is still pretty clear to me. I still know what to expect, and so does little Timmy, the 4-year-old. Right? That's the analysis. And then, oh yeah, look, little Timmy's being rewarded, and Jordan's hopping back in on his 15-minute 200 amaze reclaim. So we're both making money again. Oh yeah, that's a higher high. Oh, Jordan's getting chopped up here because this is what the 15-minute 200s do. We're above them, below them, above them, below them, above them, below them, above them, below them, and then we come back and test my 4-hour 200s again. Oh look, we found a higher low to complement our higher high. What's the expected outcome from here? Even little Timmy knows it. Maybe we just create a higher high again. Right? Pros and cons. Pros and cons, pros and cons. So I hope that kind of answers the question. Not so much how did I capture these, because I didn't capture them. I didn't capture parabolic trends. I wasn't a person, market longing on 100x leverage, the 15-minute 200 amaze test during this rally. Right? I absolutely was not that person. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you guys and lie to you and tell you that I was something that I'm not. Absolutely not. But the analysis was there, right? At the very minimum, the analysis should be there. And then if you can justify going and trading that trend, let's say you're not pre-positioned, you neglected the 4-hour 200s reclaim, you neglected the breakout, you neglected the shift of the high time frame structure, you don't have a spot ledger exposure, but you do have emotional attachment to an asset class, you might be able to go in and justify trading the parabolic trend, right? You might be able to justify longing the 15-minute 200s with a hard stop loss and using that as your exposure, therefore, right? So at the end of the day, again, it all pertains back to your personal situation. How I trade it is not always going to be how you trade it. Oh yeah, Bear of Amsterdam, also 18 years old, absolutely killing it, trying to learn about markets. I cannot imagine that many of you here who are hitting mid 30s, mid 40s, some of you mid 50s, maybe even 60s, with kids and mortgages to pay off and all these expenses and responsibilities, have the same exact risk appetite as Jordan and Bear of Amsterdam. 18-year-olds who have nothing but passion and time on their side, and the highest of risk and not much to lose, right? I cannot imagine that you're going to approach the market in the same manner. Rightfully so, right? Everything comes back towards personal situation, and that then dictates the foundation and how you perceive risk reward and probabilities. And that's going to dictate how you execute, and then how you execute determines whether or not you are successful. All right. Let's see. So you want me to take a look at LQTY, and you're interested in any low time frame trend. All right. So first of all, let's try and find high time frame trend portrayal. Again, what looks best. Could be 4 hour. I'm thinking that we can probably find something that portrays the trend more efficiently. I do like 3 hour more. I think 2 hour might be the best for this piece of price action. So I think locally we have found the best trend portrayal. I don't know if it's the best historically, but let's just kind of dumb it down and just pay attention to what is being respected on this rally upwards, right? Let's not make it overcomplicated, just what's being respected on this rally. So for this rally, 2 hour 200s probably does take the cake so far. Let's see if we can do better than that. And yeah, I think you're somewhere in between hourly or 2 hour 200s are the best trend portrayal. I'm going to say hourly. And again, is it right? Is it wrong? Neither. It's just hindsight. It's just pros and cons. So the pros are I get a retest here and I nearly get a retest here, right? And I got a retest here and I got a retest here. And oh, the trend started first, right? By reclaiming hourly 200s, because then after that, you then reclaim 2 hour 200s. So this was already firing off and saying, we're bullish now, right? So it was early and it gives more efficient tests, meaning I'm getting tested. I potentially am getting some long entries. If you're using 2 hour 200s, you're not, right? But hourly 200s get chopped up here. 2 hour 200s don't. Now, to be quite honest, this is not really even getting tested still. So it still sucks. If you're using 2 hour 200s, you're still probably not making much on that analysis. So I think by that alone, we can clearly justify hourly 200s are probably what we want to be using, right? But in an ideal world where we're very much able to play like a back and forth between hourly or 2 hour. Which is it? And then maybe you wake up on the side of the bed, on a different side of the bed the next day, and you're like, okay, hourly actually looks better. And then the next day you're like, maybe it's 2 hour actually, right? In an ideal world, this does get tested because you lost your hourly 200s. This is not an ideal world though. So even though we lost our hourly 200s and kind of chopped them up a little bit more so than usual on this entire rally upwards, you still didn't get your bullish retest that you were waiting for this entire rally. So it kind of sucks. So it's clearly, I'm only able to say hourly 200 moving averages are the most efficient trend portraying this price action. That's now going to dictate all of my analysis moving forward, right? So that's high time frame trend. How many times during this rally have we cared about high time frame trend? And to be quite honest, a fair amount of times. This trend has been tested several times. It even was tested here and got chopped up. In hindsight, once we reclaim that region and we reclaim whatever the local trend is, whatever it may be, it's not going to look like that. It's going to get chopped up, right? Once we reclaim that local trend, whatever it may be, now we have the exact same market environment as all of this price action and all of this price action, right? And all of this price action, and so on and so forth. It's the same kind of gist where your low time frame trend breaks, and really, I'm going to say your parabolic trend breaks, right? This is a parabolic move. Your parabolic trend breaks, it gets chopped up here. It allows for that deeper pullback, and you're back into my low time frame trend is bearish, my high time frame trend is bullish. When you reclaim that trend, my low time frame trend is bullish, my high time frame trend is bullish. Snowball to snowman, right? We have kind of melted the snowball. I'm sorry, we melted the snowman a little bit, but we just took some snow and patched it right back on, and he looks good again. It's all fine and dandy, nothing too crazy. Not like this hasn't happened before. Yeah, the snowman's gonna melt, but we just take a little handful of snow and patch him back up again. He's all good. That's kind of how you think about it. Is it kiddish? Yeah, absolutely. But it's again, it's how I think about it. It's the same gist of an environment. Once you reclaim that trend, now you're back above those hourly 200s, your high time frame trend portrayal, and your parabolic trend portrayal. Because again, this is going to be parabolic because of the time frame that we're discussing, where where hourly 200s are our high time frame trend. Do we all understand that? hourly 200s have dictated the trend the best for the past month over the course of 100 and almost 20% rally. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So anything lower is going to be that parabolic trend portrayal. So perhaps 30-minute is that local or parabolic trend portrayal. I don't think that we're going to be able to do much better than this, to be quite honest. I think everything else is going to be less efficient, a little bit more choppy. So this is 15-minute that we're looking at. I do think it is less efficient and a bit more choppy, where 15-minute 200s break down here and then kind of threaten a much deeper pullback towards hourly 200s. 30-minute 200s are being tested, I believe, right? So they get tested, and we can see that same exact kind of pattern for something like this. 15 minutes get chopped up, 30 minutes are getting tested perfectly. 15 minutes get chopped up, 30 minutes are getting tested perfectly. So I'm able to say hourly 200s, high time frame trend portrayal. 30-minute 200s, local or parabolic trend portrayal. And that's my analysis right there. That is then going to dictate how I trade this chart moving forward, and then however I adapt to the chart moving forward. Wait, hold on. I see somebody. Rohale, do you have something to say? My mic was turned off. My headset was turned off. What's going on here? HB, you good, man? I see a video that you're... I don't know if you're streaming a video or what's going on. I don't know what's happening here. I would hope you guys are good. Oh, you just joined. Oh, okay, I got you. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, so that's my low time frame analysis. Is 30-minute 200 moving averages would be the local trend that I'd be trying to trade. I know that you are very much appealed to trading coins like this, Jordan, because again, your risk appetite is much higher. You're perfectly fine and comfortable with trading parabolic kinds of coins. So I'm looking at this support level, which we broke out of as resistance, and we're threatening to use as support, along with our local trend, 30-minute 200s, to continue the rally that our high time frame trend, in hindsight, right, with one fluke, with one deviation, with one fake out, one bear trap, is saying collectively, we're just going to continue uptrending just the same way that we have. Look for the higher high thereafter, right? Who knows if you even get that deeper pullback, but we threaten higher highs and continuation of that trend. So that would be my local spot to be paying attention to, and then not too much farther than that, we have that high time frame trend, those hourly 200s, which would be like the last kind of stand, right? Before you start being able to justify more extreme kinds of drops at that point. And you said that based on your discretion, you came to the exact same conclusion, which is not good nor bad. It's just discretion. All right. I have been talking for 2 hours almost. Guys, I'm willing to be here as long as you need me. Today, especially, that is always the case, but today, especially, today is one of the craziest days that we've had in quite some time. If you guys have any questions, comments, you just want to chat, you want to unmute your mic and come talk to me, whatever it is, please feel free. Please feel free. Give me a reason to chill in here longer. Honestly. Come chat with me. Discuss, I don't know, tell me your mistakes. Tell me the great trade that you had. Tell me how your day is going. I don't know. Give me a reason to extend this longer and continue hopefully providing value to you guys during one of the craziest days that we've had in some months, in my opinion. Capo Maverick said, I just joined, start over again. Yaga, I feel for you, bro. and I'm here if you need me. Which, by the way, if you ever need me to put a good word out for you, I don't know how much leverage Trader Mercury has in terms of influence, but if there's anything that I can do, I'm more than happy. I've seen your progress. I know who you are as a person, as a trader, and you are family. I'm more than happy to stick my neck out, especially for you individually. I've seen it, bro. I see your performance. I know your work ethic. If there's anything you need from me, please let me know. Like, dude, if you get fired and you need a new prop trading job, if you go find one that knows who I am and respects me, I'm more than happy to put my good word in for you and say this guy's the real deal. And honestly, that's the benefit of showing your experience, guys, showing your journey, being transparent, being real. We're all family here. We're all in it for the same exact fucking reason. So there's no reason to bullshit one another. We just, guys, I'm trying to make it just as much as you guys. I mean, really. We might have different goals and different aspirations and different numbers in our head that we want to hit, but we're all here for the exact same reason. That's the beauty of it. All right. Bear says, unrelated to now, but what's one of the most pivotal moments you can think of in your trading career? Man, you want me to go back to the you want me to go back to the March 2020 spiel all over again? Do we pull out that story for anyone who doesn't know it? Do we go back to the March of 2020 spiel all over again? Ah, guys, you guys are gonna make me cry every time I think about the March 2020 story. I cry because my dad really trait man. See, I'm already kind of like fumbling with my words. Really smacked me in the face with like a new revelation. Tell us a crazy JC story. Crazy JC story. Oh man, what is a crazy JC story? The fact that he bought the bottom in March of 2020 and did it live. Um, I don't know. Printed $500,000 on like an EOS trade, 50% move on EOS one time. I don't know. Bag held a complete fucking meme coin from $20,000 position size to 1 million. Uh, Dude, I don't know. There's a lot of crazy JC stories. That's about it. I don't have like a full story. Does JC want to ever come back to trading? No, I don't think so. I do not think so. He messaged me that he was interested in buying BTC somewhere in this region, and he clearly told me that he was not interested in trading this market for months prior to that. So that's about it. I don't think he wants to come back to trading. I think he's more so in that like semi-retired, that like perpetual semi-retired state where he's just always going to be semi-retired from here on. Like he still loves markets. He still wants to take advantage of drastic mispricings in the market, but he's not watching the screen all day. He's probably not even watching the screen once a week, if I had to guess. Um, but yeah, like a day like today is probably where he comes in and logs into TradingView. But I think that the 3 weeks leading up into today, he's probably not looked at the chart once. If I had to guess, that would be. Oh yeah, another crazy JC story. Um, uh, lost an account that had I don't know how much data in it, like like something crazy, like a decent enough supply of the overall total supply of theta. Yeah, and then got access to the account again, and then it was worth like $1 million, and I was like, dude, congrats on the $1 million. You're gonna sell it all and take profit? And he's like, why would I sell it all? Like, he's like, whether I sell it or not, $1 million is not going to like affect my life tomorrow. If I take profit on the full million, It's not like I'm living a different life tomorrow now that I'm up $1 million than I was 3 days ago. He's like, nothing changed, so I'm just gonna keep holding. I think he still has that bag, guys. I don't know if I don't know that he's ever taken profit on that bag. Yeah, imagine having that much money. Yeah, I don't know. He's like, it's just 1 million. I don't know. Yeah, crazy. Um, I still need to answer Bear's question. Was using Discord on my phone. Woke up to my household with the live stream. Gotcha. Okay. Dylan Dennis or Logan? Who is more shitcoin? Who is more shitcoin? That's a funny way to put it. Um, they're both losers in my opinion. Logan is a piece of shit who scammed his following, and yeah, and Dylan Dennis is very cringy, weird. Uh, I don't know. They're both just weirdos in my opinion. That's just my take on it. I think they're both losers. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, you guys are doing this, cringe fluencer fight, and one person wins, and like, ha ha, I told you, Conor McGregor, I beat your boy, and it's like, dude, it's just so cringe. I can't, I can't deal with it. It's just so cringe. Um, let's see. All right, well, let's do the March 2020 story. Uh, I think that's the only thing. Truthfully, Bear, that is the revelation. That is the revelation that went on in my head. Yaga says, if you want to hear how I fucked up today, I can speak in 3 minutes. Man, you're more than welcome to. I will happily pass the mic to you and let you do your thing. Please do not feel obligated to do that. But perhaps other people can benefit from it. Perhaps you can just get your something off your chest. I don't know, but it's up to you, man. No pressure here. But if you want to, please, happily, you can come speak, say what's on your mind, and whatever it is. All right. He says, give him 2 minutes. All right. So the thing that drastically changed my trading career, the most pivotal event in my trading career was definitely March of 2020. There's not a single event that comes even somewhat close to this. Not even somewhat close. This story will give you an hour. It very well may. But yeah, there's not a single story that comes close to this. So I'll try and wrap it up. Prior to March of 2020, I was the arrogant, cocky little prick who thought he was the shit in markets. I thought that I knew everything that was to be known. Again, I told you guys prior to 2019, where I actually started to trade well, consistently breaking even on my account, staring at screens 12 to 14 hours a day, and telling people you're not drawing your trend lines right, you're not using RSI correctly, you're not using the right moving averages, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But somehow I'm managing to consistently break even, right? Not making money in markets, but having the most arrogant sort of approach to markets and the highest of highest inflated egos possible. So, what do you think happened when I actually started to make money in markets? It just got even more inflated, right? My helium balloon turned into a hot air balloon in terms of ego, and it just got out of hand. I thought that I knew everything. I thought that no one could tell me anything, and that my little peanuts that I was trading with in comparison to the financial, space or sector, I just was able to prove to myself that I was the alpha, right? Nailed every top and bottom. Sat there and my biggest worry was I'm not getting enough clout on Twitter and blah blah blah, and how come people aren't seeing me because I'm just so much better than everyone else. And that continued, and it continued, it continued, and I continued to make money in markets to uncanny sort of degree. And then March of 2020 hit, and I applied the exact same ego, the exact same approach, 100% in or 100% out. I was 100% in somewhere around this bottom. The idea was 6.4K. And again, I had predicted this, right? Because I'm the crystal ball caller and the person who's using Fibonacci's to call bottoms and set bids well ahead of time and blah, blah, and yada, yada. And give me like 3 minutes here. And bought the bottom, sold the top, right? Whole plan played out. Ego just continues getting even more and more inflated. The next step, so being right for a year straight, calling every top, calling every bottom, trading it as such as well, a year straight. The next step of the plan was we're going to pull back into these 200 daily moving averages. We're going to test them. We're going to create a higher high, get above this zone, and that's going to kickstart the bull market. And from there, we're going to 100K or more, and I'm going to make a shit ton of money, and I'm going to retire my parents this year, next year, whatever. Well, clearly that's not what happened. So when I bought this region and we bounced, what do you think is happening to my ego? We're up 5% from the recent low. I'm a fucking genius. Again, nothing has changed. I'm still a genius. I'm still the amazing market participant. I'm still superior to everyone else. No one can tell me shit. And then one day I wake up and we're like, oh, okay, it's just a little pullback. Next day I wake up, I'm at a loss. Mind you, this entire year, I had not experienced what it was like to be in drawdown, right? In a spot position where my position was lower than what it was when I entered for longer than maybe a day. Honestly, I was buying bottoms. I was perfectly calling with crystal ball, uncanny sort of accuracy, bottoms on high time frames. Absolutely fucking nailing it. Me and Defswo were unbelievably euphoric this day. We both bought like 7.5K or something ridiculous, right? So when I go into unrealized drawdown, I don't know what to do. I'm just like paralyzed, right? I'm able to justify it. Well, I've never been wrong before. Well, surely I won't be wrong this time either, right? The market has not once punished me anytime the past year, year and a half. So why would it do it now? I'll just continue holding. Surely, as more time goes on, the market will start to align with my arbitrary thoughts again. And does that happen? No. A few days go by, and I'm feeling the pain of, okay, we're kind of just lingering here. This sucks. And then I wake up, we're trading at like 6K. And the whole day, as we're trading at 6K, everyone's freaking out. People are messaging me and, hey, what would you do if you're me? And, hey, man, are you okay? I know that you bought here and blah, blah, blah. And, oh my God. And everyone's freaking out, right? All my good friends reaching out to me. I have members at the time reaching out to me and trying to, put their, bad decisions on my hand as well and say like, hey, what would you do? I made this mistake. Please help me. I need you right now. And meanwhile, I'm over here looking at my portfolio. I'm looking at BTC trade at 6K. And as it gaps down lower with every new 5-minute candlestick, I'm the one freaking out, just laying in my bed, paralyzed. I had no appetite, couldn't justify getting out of bed, probably did not brush my teeth that day until 6 p.m., if at all, right? No, honestly, like, I'm not bullshitting you guys. This is the entire sort of like roller coaster of emotions that I went through. A few days go by after everything unfolds, and I start to totally reevaluate my life decisions, right? I'm like, okay, top of the top, right, to the bottom of the bottom. That swing where everything in markets and life is cyclical. Sometimes you're on top of the world. This too shall pass. Sometimes you're down in the dumps. Guess what? This too shall pass, right? Well, it passed. And then that crazy momentum where the highest of inflated egos that could possibly be, when that gets a hole poked into it and comes crashing down, now there's that additional momentum because it was so high to start with. So when it starts to revert to that mean, you see a swing in the opposite direction just as great. Top of the top, bottom of the bottom. One day I'm on top of the world, euphoric, crazy ego, think I'm the absolute shit, just kind of basking in the glory of my new all-time high net worth and convincing myself that I'm the greatest trader of all time and I'm superior to everyone. And literally 3 weeks later, bottom of the bottom. Totally reevaluating every single one of my life decisions. Did I just spend the past 2 years or so, 2.5 years of my life trading and participating in markets just to waste those 2.5 years? Remember, guys, I dropped out of college in 2019. So I have no life goals. I'm sitting here working as a pharmacy tech part time at some hospital. I have nothing going for me. At this point, I'm watching as my friends are already halfway done with college, and if not more, and getting into these like residencies and internships and whatnot. I'm comparing that to where I'm at, and you know, it's just terrible. My mind totally took a flip in hindsight because I allowed it to. I allowed myself to be in that position. A couple days go by, my parents start to pick up on the fact that I'm not really the same person anymore that I was a week ago. Right? Like imagine going through a bad breakup. You can see when your friend goes through a bad breakup and they're really, distraught about it. And you're like, man, you good? Like you haven't been the same. You're not coming and playing video games with us anymore. You're kind of just like off to yourself and whatever, right? So I picked up on it. How come you're not eating? How come you're not coming out of your room? How come you're not really talking to us? How come I didn't even see you yesterday? You were just stuck in your room with your door closed and blah, 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 yada, yada, right? How come? And dad, I lost money in markets. I lost money. And my dad, who, by the way, moved here uh, from a foreign country, right? So he was an immigrant at the age of 18 with $64 in his pocket. I kid you not. This is exactly the story that he told me several years ago. $64 in his pocket. The same week that he moves here, his dad gets sick, like deathbed sick, right? I've never met my grandfather on that side. So he has to go back. So he goes back to his home country. The same day that he gets back to his home country, his dad dies. Thankfully, he gets to see him right before he passes away. And then it is what it is. So he has to grieve. And he spends some more time there, grieves with his family, but he comes back to America. Again, 18 years old. So now with even less money in his pocket, because he just had to spend however much money to get a plane ticket or ask a friend for money or whatever. So now he's even less, wealthy than when he was when he immigrated, and potentially even in debt. He eventually manages to get himself up, find a job, whatever. He goes and lives with some friends that live in the country and stays with them, works with them, works with, their stores. They've already well established themselves, finds different people, meets new people, whatever, saves up money, starts a business. My dad's recurring theme, guys, for the next, I don't know, how old is my dad? I don't know, 30, 40 years, 50 years, whatever. For the next several decades, we'll say, the recurring theme is start a business, build it up, sell it. Start a business, it fails, start all over again. Start a business, build it up, yay, it does well, sell it. Start another business, start it up, oh, it fails, start all over again. This is a recurring theme. I kid you not, my dad has owned probably, if I had to guess, 8 to 10 businesses in his lifetime. Some of them profitable, some of them total fucking disasters, right? Eventually, I come out in 1999, and my dad already has a business well established, and he is waiting for the day that I turn 18 so he can pass it over to me, and I have my entire life set ahead of me. He did all the work so that his family could reap the benefits, right? So what the hell is he going to move to a new country and spend all time and time and effort and money and emotional roller coasters of building businesses and losing them and building them and losing them and building them and losing them? He finally hit the gold mine. Just hold on to it. So now all of me and my siblings are going to grow up, run these businesses, and be incredibly wealthy and be incredibly set for life, not really have to work as hard, not really have to do much. Well, my dad's issue was he was an amazing businessman. There is no second best when it comes to businessmen, but he's a terrible accountant. He's terrible with managing finances. He understands how to run a business, but he doesn't understand how to use money. And that was his downfall. And he knows this, right? I'm not bashing him. He's fully aware of this. He's terrible with money. So he decides, I'm going to buy a very, very large house right before 2008. That was his financial decision, right? He didn't have $500,000 or $600,000, whatever he paid for the house. But prior to this, if you had any kind of income, you could leverage it and show it to a bank, and they'll give you a loan worth whatever fucking amount you need. And because my dad had, at this point, not just one, but he then expanded on the one gold mine and built another business, and it was just as equally successful. Now he has two businesses that are gold mines worth cumulatively, valuation wise, in terms of inventory and where they're located and how much income they're bringing in monthly and so on, worth several $1,000,000. It's very easy to get a $500,000 loan when you have several millions of dollars in assets. Well, then 2008 hit. So now we have a bunch of liabilities. They're not assets anymore. They stopped generating income. And suddenly the house that you paid $500,000 for 2 years ago, right? Now in 2010 is only worth 150. So now you're $300,000 in the hole, but you still have to pay payments as if the house is worth 500,000 because that's what you bought it at. And you don't have money to pay it with because your assets that were worth several millions of dollars are not making you any money anymore. Eventually, instead of doing anything like selling off inventory, getting rid of one of the businesses and reaping, and just kind of sulking about it and band-aiding it up and trying to save the other business and trying to get out of that hole, the hole just grew bigger, right? All of the flaws and bad things that had unfolded just continued. And nothing ever got patched up. Everything just remained as it was. Guess what? The irony? Paralyzed, right? Just like me in March of 2020. Paralyzed. Fucking paralyzed. Can't do anything. Don't know what to do. Never accounted for this outcome. What are you supposed to do at that point? So, we lost it all. At the age of 14, I then was homeless for 2 weeks. We lived in our car, right? That was the only asset that we owned that was fully paid off. Everything else we got evicted from. People came and repoed the other cars that we had because we had three. So they came and repoed our two cars. And yeah, homeless at the age of 14. Only reason we had somewhere to go is because we moved in with my grandmother. That's it. It's the only reason. Otherwise, I may very well still be homeless today. My parents put everything in one basket, and that one basket burned. And they suffered the consequences. So, knowing my dad's story and knowing what happened to me in March of 2020, I want you guys to relate everything that was just said and what his perspective is when he says this to me. And he asks me, why do you not have an appetite anymore? Why am I not seeing you every day? How come you've not really talked to anybody or come out of your room? And I tell him it's because I lost money. Do you know what his response to that was? He said, I'm going to give you two options here. Either stop crying about money because it's just money, or stop trading. When I think about that and I think about who the person who just said that to me is and what they've experienced in their lifetime, it really hits hard. It hits to a much greater degree. And it's the truth. Either stop crying about money or stop trading. Well, obviously, everyone knows what I decided. I decided from that day forward, I would not cry about money ever again. I wouldn't allow it because, guys, I've suffered more in terms of notional drawdown since March of 2020. But there has never been a point where emotionally I have been more down in the dumps, right, than March of 2020. But I've suffered more in terms of net worth lost, right? Whether it be unrealized or realized. I have suffered a greater loss several times since March of 2020. But there's not been a single time where I've cried about it. There's not been a single time where losing that amount, whatever it may be, I was able to justify not eating that day or not getting out of bed until 6 p.m. or not talking to anybody, right? Or not indulging in my favorite hobbies, playing video games, going outside and playing basketball, whatever it may be, right? There's not been a single time since then where been able to justify being down in the dumps and crying about money. Because here's the person who has suffered being on top, losing it all, being on top, losing it all, right? Started from nothing several times, built his way up, lost it all, built his way up, lost it all, found a gold mine, lost it all, telling me, don't cry about money. You're not allowed to cry about money. Okay. If that person can say that to me, then clearly there's never a reason to be able to justify crying about money. Ever. There's no way. I have not even experienced a 1/100th of what he has in his lifetime, and he is able to come to me and say, you're not allowed to cry about money. Either stop crying or stop trading, but you have to pick one. From that day forward, my entire perspective on markets and on life changed. That is the only thing that I can say drastically changed my outlook and was the sort of revelation for me. Nothing else even comes close. Not even somewhat close. So that's my answer. I know that you guys have heard that story several times before. It's a story that I come back to, but that's what speaks to me. That's the only thing that I can speak on. I can only hope that if you're down in the dumps today, because a day like today is a day where many people are susceptible to being down in the dumps. It's not just Yaga. It's $100 millions were liquidated today. So there's a lot of people who are down in the dumps. Chances are it's several people in this group. I want you to remind yourself of that story. And hopefully that provides some sort of relief and enlightenment to you. Because it did for me. Now, it's not your dad telling you this, but you can kind of put yourself in the same kind of situation, right? So to that, I will then pass over the mic to Yaga if he's still here. Yaga, if you're listening right now and you still want to come talk, then please feel free, my man.
Yeah.
Oh, my headset
Hi,
is
Mark.
still turned off. How's it going,
Can you
buddy?
hear me? Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I've been better, but no, it's not that worse. I just feel scammed by the market, which is not a pleasant emotion to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if everyone knows what I do. So I manage fund for a prop firm. So I have like $3 million in asset under my management, if I can say it like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I won't be as good as you, Mercury, on the storytelling part of things. So I started the day, and I was speaking with Mav this morning, saying it's a weird timing and things look sus. It looks like someone is spot bidding, and we were talking about that, and I say, yeah, I'm not convinced. I think that's bullshit, and then at 3:30 p.m. I was working on my day job. So I manage a 50 people company in France. For the one that don't know me, and I was working on some stuff, and then I got this alert, everything ringing, and I just close the door and I say, okay, the ETF Bitcoin, I saw the Cointelegraph news. I knew that Cointelegraph, they are, I would say, not trustworthy. Then I saw on Reuters, how do you say? I don't know. Reuters.
Rooters, yeah, Rooters,
Yeah, Reuters. Yeah. Then that the news was forwarded there, so I said, okay, that's probably true. So if and the fund manager, the fund CEO said, "Are we in?" This is the message that he sent. This is the only message that he sent today. Say, "Are we in?" And I said, I'm currently connecting to the account. I think we need to be in if it's true. So I'm gonna be in. So by the time I connected to the account, the pump started, and I don't know, started. I saw the news at 28.4, something like that, 28.5. I instantly bought the one and I had connected on my mobile, and the time I connected to the other account on the PC, I think the price was something 29.4. The time I passed the order, it was 29.5. So then I entered a sizable position on BTC, but
yeah,
and then I started to see this is probably fake. This is probably a scam. And by the time I had to check, the price was down to 28.8 or something. So I had to exit the position based on this. So it was a 100 BTC position. So that's a sizable amount. So
yeah,
that's so I exited the 100 BTC and for a total loss of around 55K. So that's 55K on a $3 million portfolio. So that's not the end of the world. But the thing is, it just creates some emotions on the trading side of things. Like you say, okay, so I was making plan this whole thing with waiting for daily close and H4 close, and then some fucking interns on the other side of the world just send a tweet, and I'm vulnerable to this, and I take a bad decision based on that.
yeah,
So that's what really hurt the most, is that I could not take the good decision fast enough, based on the element I had, to make sure I don't make any mistake and that I control my drawdown. I just acted on reflex, saying, yeah, that's the most left curve move that I need to make. The ETF is the proof. This is going to 35K at least by the end of the day. That's only thought I had when I pressed the button. I said, the ETF is approved. That's fine. We're going to go to. And then the other side is when I started to see it is fake, and I say, okay, I screwed up.
yeah,
So that's not a good way of acting, and that's not a good way of trading. And I know that, and I know better than that. So I'm really disappointed in myself more than anything.
yeah,
Acting based on partial information, not verified, and knowing this market, because I know the market will be completely extreme in this reaction. Should have known better and maybe wait a little bit more. Maybe just take 30 seconds, 1 minute more to assess what was going on. And I did not do it. I just went head first into the trap.
yep,
So that hurts. That hurts because I'm then you have all this feeling and say I'm no better than the average degen on Twitter, or following Carl Moon and all these other scammers, and so that hurts a little bit, more. But yeah, no crying over that. That's just money, and then more than anything, it's not my money, so I can't even relate to the experience you had on March 2020. It's not even that. It's more about it's more how can I say that?
it's like a lack of performance for you individually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's just I got scammed by the worst level, lowest level of scam that could happen. But then you said 100 million in liquidation and etc. etc. But still, it's just a very simple, basic scam that I felt for, and I really feel guilty for that,
yeah,
if I can express this like that. So that's painful. That's painful to swallow. It needs to be swallowed because it's my mistake. I did not. I can't blame this on anyone else. It's just on me, 100%. So that would leave a scar, and I will need to build on that probably. So yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, the other thing is that I was probably, if I have to analyze a bit on this, is that I was also probably in a weak psychological situation because my previous read was bad. I showed the chart as when we lost the 4 hour 200s, I cutted most of my position, so I was basically flat. So short BTC, long USD, and then we started this rally, and I said, okay, I was wrong. I need to compensate for that in a way.
Yep.
So was making it all back in one trade. So that's an accumulation of mistakes, one after the other. More psychological than, I would say, more psychological than technical, most of it.
Absolutely.
So that's painful. That's really, really, really painful, and that's why I was questioning my ability to manage that while having a full-time job and 2 kids and etc. etc. And this today hit at 100 miles per hour in my face. So I need to change some things, and that's not the first time that happened. Last time I did okay because the market rallied. I was on fake news. I don't even remember what was the fake news, but the market rallied violently, and but I had a 2 million order market buy on LTC that created a $12 week, and I think you know the story, Mark.
Yeah.
So this is the lack of my ability to adapt to fast news while working and having other stuff in my mind when this hits. So I need to change something, and I need to probably put a rule that I will not trade news, whatever it is, whenever it is, and I just can't do it. I just can't. I just can't have work on my mind and then a news hit and I need to react in 1 minute. It's just not. I'm not able to do that. So I need to realize that I'm good at making plans, but I'm not able to react in 1 minute candle and make sense of this shit. So probably
So
something to realize as well.
Yaga, I have a lot to say to you. That I'm gonna go ahead
Tell me.
and start off. This right here is the most important part of today's stream and probably the past months of streams. I think everything that you just said fully sets the stage for a lot of the shit that we've been talking about throughout these streams, which you've heard me say time and time again. I'm not going to take credit for anything, but I want you to know that a lot of the self reflection you're doing right now, because like Snoop said, people are giving you love in chat right now.
Thanks, guys.
You're down in the dumps, mad at your own performance, but dude, all I hear is self reflection and not sulk. All I hear is acknowledgement. All I hear is acceptance. You are mad at yourself again, drawing down a $3 million account, negative $55,000. You are mad at yourself for taking action and then quickly negating that action and cutting that position within minutes. Dude, I think you should be happy. I'm not, no, like, it sounds stupid. I think you handled the position incredibly well. Because again, remember, this is markets and we don't get to dictate, like you said, we don't get to dictate outcomes. You are susceptible to the outcome. How you approach the outcome determines your success. You don't get to control the random fucking AWOL intern that just decided maybe jail's not that bad and decides to tweet something that's going to manipulate the market. You can't. You have no effect on that. You can only affect the button presses that you make and or don't make. You decided to make the button press because at the time, within a split second decision, and again, I want you to also account for this, You said domino effect essentially, because you said it may have something to do with the fact that my assessment of price action was wrong prior because I had made a mistake prior, or what seemed like a mistake. The way that you made your button presses leading up into this event, you were using 4 hour 200s, and you said, okay, when those 4 hour 200s are lost, I'm able to invalidate this position. So based on the reaction thereafter that the market gives you, you are then in a worse state if your assessment is not correct and the market continues rallying thereafter anyways, right? That's inevitably going to be the case. I want you to also consider the fact that, and I call that domino effect, right? Every position, every time that you make any even a slight adjustment, if you just decide I'm going to take $30,000 of this $3 million account and go ape it into some random fucking on-chain coin, which I'm sure you're not allowed to do anyways, but I'm just going to go ape it into some random on-chain coin, that's going to be my gamble bag exposure there. That even slight adjustment in your portfolio is a domino effect. It's going to totally reshape every single decision that you make thereafter. You just witnessed that and you just experienced that. I want you to also realize the fact that you do have pressure on you, not just because you do have two kids and not just because you also manage your own personal account, not also because you manage your own business that you just said, but also because you're working for a prop firm and it's on you to make that prop firm money. So there's pressure on you to take action and not be the person who's left behind on this great news event because, what if it's fake? Had we ripped 30% higher, your prop manager, right? Just like today, your prop manager might say, Yago, what the fuck? How come the account is down 50K? Your prop manager would have just as easily said 30% higher than 28K or whatever you bought at. He would have easily said, how come you didn't buy? This is the whole point of you trading. There's that pressure. So, granted, everything, dude, P&L out the window. I don't care. I don't care if you lost 55 grand or 100 or 200. I think you handled the situation exceptionally. I really do. Given your circumstances, and even not given your circumstances, I think the ability to enter on a whim and then immediately cut that position is an edge in itself. And I tell Maverick this all the time. I tell him all the time because Maverick, we're all family guys. We all run into different issues, right? Not everyone's a prop trader losing 50 grand in one candlestick, but again, you're going to run into your own issues. Maverick, several months ago, was telling me I'm too frequently cutting positions early and I adapt on a whim too quickly. I'm not allowing positions to run because my discretion comes in, my arbitrary thoughts kick in, and I'm cutting a position before it fully plays out, and I'm missing out on making a lot of money. And I told Maverick, that is your edge, though. And so, therefore, the direct sort of roadblock that you're going to run into is you're going to frequently find yourself where you're cutting positions too early. And so the same edge where the ability for you to enter on a whim, hey, this 15-minute candlestick, I don't really like the way it's shaped up. I'm going to exit my position. I don't like that rejection off of this key level. It's literally the same 1 minute candle, but I don't like that rejection. It's down negative 1% from this key level that I was watching. I'm going to enter a short here. That ability to make those quick decisions is also going to be your downfall. In this case, Yaga, I think that it helped you. I think that you displayed that ability to manage a position on a whim with quick thinking in minutes, man. In minutes. This is all unfolding in minutes. You're managing a $3 million position in minutes. I think you handled it incredibly well. Incredibly well. And you know this because, again, you started off the entire story saying $3 million account drawn down negative $55,000. Percentage wise, that's nothing. I mean, really, you lost 1.5%, 2% of your account. That's just a normal risk for other people. So, in that aspect, I understand that you have limitations on how much you're allowed to draw down the account. And I understand that you are not going to be satisfied with your own performance and whatnot. But I totally feel like you handled it exceptionally well. And it's gonna suck. Losing is never fun. And whether it's losing $5,000 or $55,000, the honest reality as humans is it's tough to be satisfied. Human greed is always going to be the main forefront and driver for a lot of our motives. And guys, that's my honest outlook on life. Human greed is a very, very strong emotion. It really is. So that greed then allows us to be able to justify in our own little brains never being satisfied. Whether you made 50 grand on that movement and decided, wow, I got lucky, the skin of my teeth, I bought the top, but it went 10% higher before I realized it was fake, and I was able to close for 5% gain, and I made $55,000. You still would not have been satisfied. So, obviously, losing, you're going to feel even less satisfied. Do not, Yaga, do not let yourself live in that torturous state of limbo where you're always unsatisfied. You're making money on the account for months in a row. You had some bad decisions, you had some bad trades, whatever. It led into an impulsive decision, it led into a bigger loss, whatever it may be, but you're making money. That number is continuously heading to the top right corner. It's just now you have to zoom out on one time frame higher to be able to see that, but you're still in that torturous state of limbo to where even had you not done anything at all and not reaped any benefit and also not lost anything, you still wouldn't have been satisfied. You'd be looking at this candlestick saying, what if I logged in a little bit earlier and I was able to buy 27K before the pump, before people realized it was fake, and I would still be currently sitting in some unrealized profit. There's always a way to turn things into a perspective to where you're unsatisfied with your own performance, you're unsatisfied with your P&L, you're unsatisfied with life, you're unsatisfied with your work ethic, you're unsatisfied with your business, right? Maybe I wouldn't think that this is the case, but maybe you're like, man, I should just go sell my business in France and just trade full time now. It's not worth it anymore. I would have been on this news, even though it was fake. I would have been on it the same minute that it came out. Don't allow yourself to live in that torturous state of hindsight and limbo where you're constantly dissatisfied with outcomes. You're constantly dissatisfied. I genuinely think, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass is an analogy in English, which is basically saying because I know I have to translate it. I'm not just telling you this just because we're friends and I want to make you feel good and you're sad right now or a little bit, right? I'm not just saying this. I genuinely think you handled it exceptionally well. And I would think if I was your manager, managing to get out of that position for only $55,000 loss after buying what is essentially a Pico top and working in the same 5 minute time frame as all of this unfolding, I would be pretty happy with that outcome considering how everything played out. So that's how I feel. It seems to be that everyone in the chat kind of agrees. But man, I see nothing but success in your future because when you're talking, all I hear is self acknowledgement. All I hear is reflection. All I hear is just good things, man. Good things that over a long period of time, those good habits will keep you grounded to the point where you can look back and just use this as a learning opportunity and have that luxury. And man, I truly do wish you the best, and I think that there's not really too much of a reason that you can justify sulking for too long. I fully expect to see you back in here next week, tomorrow, whatever, man. I really do. I think that you did incredibly well. And honestly, listening to you speak and listening to all the self reflection and acknowledgement and things that you were saying and acknowledging aspects of like my kind of philosophy that you may not even have realized that we've touched on previously, like the domino effect. Hey, maybe I was able to justify this action because prior to this action, I traded things this way. And so that then created a little bit of pressure to make sure that I would overcompensate. That stuff like that, man, that's going to be the thing that ensures that you are successful. So I truthfully am proud, dude. I'm really proud. It was fucking incredible to listen to you speak. And I think that that spiel that you gave, that self-reflection, you talking, was the most valuable piece of any live stream that I've put out probably this whole year. I'm not just saying that. I really do think. So,
Thank you, Mercury. Feel a little bit better.
yeah, I hope so, man. It's a wound. You lick your wounds. You cry about it for all of the rest of today, and then you get over it, man. You sulk it up, and you get over it, and you keep pushing the buttons. And what I have to say is the same self acknowledgement that you gave that created the ability to press buttons a certain way today, which caused a loss. It's still going to affect you, but now to a deeper extent moving forward. So perhaps a break truly is in the best interest of you. Because when we were talking about this in the beginning of the stream, I don't think you were here, but the dust has not settled yet. Clearly, we're still trading at 28.2K. We were not trading at 28.2K prior to this news coming out. So people are still speculating, algos are still catching up, things are still lagging, there's still uncertainty in the air, which is going to create more and more opportunity for both reward and for fuck ups. So
Yeah.
just keep in mind that this one domino was bigger than all the others, right? But it did knock over another domino, and it is going to knock over the next one when you go and approach this market, be that today, later tonight, or tomorrow, or 3 days from now, or next week, or 2 weeks from now. It is going to impact how you trade moving forward. So don't let it have as much of an impact as it can. It's going to impact you 100%. There's no way that you can neglect that. You're a human, you're susceptible to emotions, you're not a robot, you're not an algorithm. Again, that's your edge, because the algo, the robot, whatever, would have been waiting for moving averages to be lost and candles to be closing and whatever, and would have suffered a $200,000 drawdown. That was your edge in this case. Your edge is your discretion, your ability to act on a whim and apply your own thoughts and theses and plans and whatnot. So continue to do that. And in the meantime, don't let this domino being knocked over affect you as much as it could. Because it has the ability to not just be one domino and, oh, I lost 55 grand of a $3 million account. It has the ability to be the start of getting liquidated. It has that potential. So don't let it have that. Take that away from it and go back to the Yaga where you feel comfortable. Like you said, I need to not be trading news events anymore. This is all self-reflection, guys. By the way, I've all come to this own conclusion by myself. Listening to you speak was a lot like listening to my own thoughts. I have decided I fucking suck at news events. I don't have a very good read on catalysts and news and fundamentals and whatever. I'm probably better off just not trading it. And more times than not, thankfully, more times than not. Now, this is not one of those cases, but more times than not, I have found that when the catalyst comes out, I'm already pre-positioned because the chart was telling me this prior. Today was not one of those times. I woke up and we were back above 4 hour 200s. I go and check Twitter. 3 minutes ago, news has come out. So we had already reclaimed 4 hour 200s and invalidated my thesis and started to shift into a bigger snowball. And little Timmy is kind of confused now. And I was ready to come into live stream today and to give you guys a more convoluted analysis all over again. Hey guys, we're back above 4 hour 200s. We're back outside of the range, but we're still bearish on the 200 dailies. We're still bearish on the much higher time frame. I was really ready to do that. I go and check Twitter 3 minutes ago. Cointelegraph is saying that BTC spot is approved, and then we rip 10% higher, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I'm not even going to get the chance to put out a daily market update today. I'm not even going to, right? I'm going to have to talk about this now in today's live stream. And the news had not really um, benefited me in any case. Everything unfolded very, very quickly, literally overnight and into this morning. So I came to the same conclusion, man. If that's the conclusion you got to come to, then again, pros and cons. You're going to miss out on news events, but at least you won't get burned and be forced to make very quick impulsive decisions within minutes and potentially get burned on that kind of style of trading. At least you can accept your own losses on your accord and be stopped out on a plan or a thesis or a setup or whatever it may be. But that is a conclusion that I also came to, and so seeing you also come to that same conclusion is nice, not because you subscribe to the same thoughts that I do, but because you're finding out who you are as a trader and how you need to continue approaching the market. And again, man, that is more valuable than anything. That makes me feel like everything that I've ever done in this group, in live streams, anything, any sort of chit chatting in between all that, where we're just hanging out in Discord, that makes me feel like it was all worth it. 100%. Watching you be able to break things down, self reflect, come to your own conclusions, and just be a trader, man. Learn from mistakes and keep moving on. That was fucking incredible. And again, the most valuable thing in any stream the whole year, easily, was you speaking. So I really, really hope everyone listens to this. So thank you
Thank
for
you,
that.
Mercury. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. That was really incredible. I appreciate you. And again, man, I wish you the best. I know that you're going to come back from this. If you ever need anything from me, please feel free. That goes for any of you guys. Please feel free to reach out. You ever need someone to just chat with, or you need me to put out a good word for you, whatever it may be. Some of you guys have known for years. I would have no issue putting out a good word for you. You know, so I much appreciate you guys. We're all family here. And yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah,
So,
thank you to everyone. Just saw the good words from the guys. Thank you
yeah,
very much. Means a lot. Really appreciate it.
yeah,
We'll put a text message as well.
yeah.
Thank you, guys. I have to go. Thank you a lot.
See you later, man. Have a good rest of your
See you
day.
later. Bye bye.
We'll see you
Yeah,
later.
sure. You too. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, guys. On that note, I think we can go ahead and wrap up the stream. I don't know that I can top that, to be honest. Actually, I know I can't top that. I would hope that you guys saw the value in that as much as I did. Um, I really, really hope you guys saw the value in that. That was incredible, truthfully. You will, by the way, 100%. You will find yourself in the same position as Yaga today. It's inevitable. You will 100% find yourself in the same position. I can only hope, I can only hope you have the same amount of discipline as Yaga today to be able to navigate that scenario the same way that he did. That's honestly, that speaks volumes. I can only hope you guys have the same amount of discipline and emotional control and maturity to be able to navigate that scenario of which you will find yourself in, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe next year, but you will eventually find yourself in a similar scenario. And I can only hope that you have the patience, live stream, live stream, the patience, discipline, and emotional maturity to be able to navigate it even somewhat close to how he did. So thank you guys. I'm going to wrap up the stream from here. Again, much love, family. I appreciate every single one of you guys. So thank you so much. I hope you guys are doing well, and we will talk soon. I will see you again on Wednesday. Take it easy, everybody.